7 catches for 104. Bear D lineman Akeem Hicks faces a possible fine and suspension for bumping an official. Anthony Rizzo, you heard from him earlier, did go 3 for 4 with an RBI. Cubs rallied to beat the Cardinals 10-5 at Wrigley Field. Their season continues today. White Sox wrap up the season with a 5-4 road loss to the Twins. Zach Levine, Antonio Blakeney each had 21 in the Bulls' preseason victory over the Pelicans at the UC. Jabari Parker had 15. Bulls back in action Wednesday, and the ice is broken on the NHL regular season Thursday for the Blackhawks in Ottawa. The news, a service of Unbound.org. Right now, young people across the world face a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. 5:09. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Don't miss Freedom Summit 2018 on Saturday, October 27th. Presented by Geiger Wealth Management, Chicago's retirement planning experts. This year, featuring headline speakers, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark and James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Also appearing, AM 560's Mike Gallagher, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Joe Walsh. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Automated Systems Incorporated and by Health Insurance Mentors.com.
I used to post to job boards that sent me tons of resumes.
Just to find a few people who were right for my job.
That old process was not smart.
Then I went to ZipRecruiter.
Its technology scans resumes for me to find the right people.
And actively invites them to apply. So I get qualified candidates fast. Smart.
See why ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. Try it now for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter. The smartest way to hire. Based on Trustpilot rating of hiring sites with over 1,000 reviews.
Noted author, former chief medical correspondent, and Salonpas user Dr. Bob Arnott.
The human body has billions of pain receptors. Block those receptors with the anesthetics found in Salonpas Lidocaine Plus, and you'll have relief. Salonpas Lidocaine Plus contains 2 anesthetics, including the maximum strength lidocaine available without a prescription. They numb aggravated nerves for effective, lasting relief. For relief, try what I use, Salonpas Lidocaine Plus.
In the silver box with the blue wave.
Looking to secure financing on a new home? Then you need to call Team Hochberg. Stephanie, account manager, contacted her credit union to get pre-qualified for a mortgage. Bad move. The credit union's alleged mortgage expert informed Stephanie she couldn't purchase a home without a cosigner. Wrong. Stephanie's grandfather would cosign, but she wanted to do it herself. After hearing hundreds of our ads, Stephanie called for a free consultation. An experienced Team Hochberg mortgage professional answered Stephanie's questions and helped her secure a mortgage without a cosigner. Let's review. The inexperienced mortgage professional at Stephanie's credit union stated she needed a cosigner to purchase a home, and Team Hochberg secured her a mortgage without a cosigner. When securing a mortgage, you could either get terrible advice at your credit union, or you could call Team Hochberg at 312-751-1333. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM 560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee 4358 and MLS 19186.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
5:12, and a check of your early morning roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Downtown Chicago, Michigan Avenue is open again. Congress and Harrison after the overnight shooting and crash happened there. 500 blocks South Michigan Avenue. West side Madison is blocked in front of the United Center. David and Wood Concert Village set up. Edens looks good right now. Kennedy as well. Express lane should be opening shortly inbound. Outbound Kennedy, it's heavy from Montrose to Central after overnight work. Still looking at about a 5-minute delay there. Other expressways and tollways look pretty good. Little heavy on the inbound Vision Ford. 111 Stony Island with the work. At about a 2-minute delay in that area. Woodridge starting today. Construction closes the bridge. 71st Street over 355. It's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center with meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Patchy fog and drizzle for the morning, then a blend of sun and clouds for the afternoon with a high today 74. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm for tonight with a low 64. For tomorrow, couple of morning showers, otherwise mostly cloudy, high 70. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
57 at O'Hare, 57 along the lakefront, 57 this morning in Aurora. And your next news update is at 5:30. Continuous news coverage at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So after watching Senators Jeff Flake and Chris Coons complete each other's statements on 60 Minutes.
Well, he did say you had me at hello.
I think they're going to be very happy together. Jeff Flake and Chris Coons appearing together. They're very good friends. This is who Jeff Flake conferred with after it was announced, and we announced on our show on Friday that he was a yes vote for Kavanaugh, yes with a qualifier. And the qualifier, of course, as you know by now, is a up to a week extension in the FBI look-see at Brett Kavanaugh's accusers, and perhaps, at least according to other Republican senators, the Dems' collusion to smear Kavanaugh. That's what Senator Bill Cassidy demanded. Tom Cotton demanded Feinstein be investigated over the leaked letter from Ford. But ultimately, what we're really talking about is the investigation into Blasey Ford, and the FBI has also reached out to the second accuser, Deborah Ramirez.
She actually sat down with the FBI last night and did an interview. Christine Blasey Ford did her interview with the FBI 2 days ago. And PJ, the other guy that was there, he's going to be sitting down with them today. And I don't know about Smitty or Schmitty. What's his name?
Squee?
Squee.
I don't know where Squee
Squee's
is
not,
either.
Squee didn't make the cut.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. We'll get to Squee later. I love Squee.
So here's Jeff Flake and Chris Coons. Let's take them in turn from 60 Minutes, since they're the responsible parties for this latest chapter in the Kavanaugh saga.
Ask both of you what you made of Judge Kavanaugh's very emotional response and what it may or may not say about his judicial temperament. Does this man belong on the Supreme Court?
Well, when he walked out, and you could see him open his binder and put his paper here, and we knew that he was eager to testify. And I have to say that when I heard him, I heard someone who I hoped I would sound like if I had been unjustly accused. And to see his family behind him, as Chris said, and it was anger. But if I were unjustly accused, that's how I would feel as well. And as it went on, I think his interaction with some of the members was a little too sharp. But the statement at the beginning, I thought, was pretty raw, but in keeping with someone who had been unjustly accused.
But that was a very raw, visceral reaction from Jeff Flake, very powerful. Do you get the feeling that I get listening to Jeff Flake speak, that if you dropped him on the ground, he would crack into a million pieces like a porcelain teapot?
I just want to know what happened to his nose. It is way... Do you see it? I mean, did something happen? I see. Once again, I'm being catty. It's the lob haircut for Christine Ford. Now I'm talking about Jeff Flake's nose.
It's been up the arse of Chris Coons for the last 3 years. Hey-o! That's the problem. And here is Chris Coons responding to
his lover.
Yeah.
I love
he agrees with Jeff, but you know what? Yeah. Like any good couple, they've learned how to agree to disagree.
He had exchanges with Senator Feinstein, with Senator Klobuchar, with others that I thought went over a line. He was clearly belligerent, aggressive, angry, and I thought there was a tough dynamic there. As I watched him, part of me thought this is a man who believes that he did nothing wrong and he's completely unjustly accused.
What about
and
the
he's
other
being
part?
railroaded, and he's furious about it.
About the
There
other part,
were
Chris
some
Coons?
lines that he delivered that were sharper, more partisan, more, this is the Clintons paying me back. This is a Democratic smear campaign, that I was surprised, struck to hear from a judicial nominee.
Sure.
I'm not at all surprised to hear that from other colleagues in the committee or on television, but I was really struck that I thought his anger got the best of him, and he made a partisan argument that would have been best left to be made for his advocates and defenders on the committee.
Made you wonder about his suitability?
In my case, yes, it
Oh,
made
yeah,
me wonder about his
so quite.
suitability to serve on the bench.
Oh, and I mean, and there's nobody more thorough and thoughtful than Chris Coons. Holy cow. What dimension are we? Okay, after hearing from Chris Coons and Jeff Flake, against the backdrop of the 1-week extension that Trump okayed, you think that was the right move? Are you persuaded by the cute couple there, the senatorial first power couple, Flake and Coons? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
I mean, the problem with me is Jeff Flake and this elevator confrontation with Anna Marie, what's her name, Archila, and that everyone's saying this is the reason why he wanted the FBI investigation.
What you are doing is allowing someone who actually violated a woman to sit in the Supreme Court. This is not tolerable.
Why is everybody reliving their trauma? I know a lot of people who have been sexually assaulted or somebody tried to sexually assault them or they were sexually abused. Don't associate Brett Kavanaugh with your pain. And there's no proof even that he even sexually assaulted anybody. It's an allegation at this point.
Right. So when he was confronted in that elevator, and I mean, honestly, if that's the only thing that it takes for a United States senator to do a 180, then we're in a very dangerous place. I mean, of course, it's only the Republicans that certain Republicans that suffer from this infirmity. So, right, your case is not this case.
Right.
And rather than that hangdog look that Jeff Flake had, where he's like mopey, looking down at his feet, kicking his feet like he's being scolded, he could have simply said, I'm sorry for whatever happened to you, miss, but what happened to you has nothing to do with this case. Here's what I heard, and this is the decision I made. And that's just the end of it. If you're unhappy with it, I understand, but it's not going to change my decision.
No, we cannot hold Kavanaugh accountable for everyone's sexual assault. Ladies, stop it. All weekend long, I couldn't stand it. Every conversation I had with a woman, well, he sexually assaulted her. I said, we don't know that, and I don't believe that he did on the testimony that I heard. 2 people spoke, and everyone in the gosh darn world has an opinion about it.
By the way, Anna Maria Archila is one of the women who confronted Flake. Is the co-executive director for the Center for Popular Democracy and the Center for Popular Democracy Action Fund, which is funded by George Soros.
Oh.
So to Mr. Coons's point, Senator Coons's point about, the Clinton and left-wing talk that was too partisan, well, it's not too partisan. It's a description of the reality on the ground, because that's who's fomenting this discord, this disinformation, and the disgusting conduct.
Wow. And she was on ABC on Good Morning America on Saturday morning, and they were hailing her as a hero. Even my good friend Paula Ferris was saying, that was so courageous of you for you to confront your senator. And she, they got an exclusive interview with her.
I think that Brett Kavanaugh has demonstrated that he has... he's willing to lie.
I don't even want to hear from her.
I'm
sorry that I blogged that. Because when I was watching it, I was cringing.
It's courageous to accost a senator, to confront your senator.
She's a hero.
What?
She's.
Why would anybody be afraid to talk to their duly elected representative or any duly elected representative?
Don't they work for us?
What's the courage that's attendant to that?
Hero. She's going to go on a speaking tour now. I'm not joking.
Robert in Oak Brook here on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Amy. Morning, Dan. I'm very curious. In a secured location, how does 2 women and a camera crew get Flake in an elevator?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they were part of the press gag that was chasing him out to the elevator, I think.
Yeah, everybody wanted
Thanks
to talk
for the call,
to him.
Robert.
Including those two ladies who were probably paid to be there.
The other guy who lives in Oak Brook, Ed.
We love Oak Brook.
Yeah, you know what? I hope this FBI investigation actually investigates Blasey Ford and her connection to George Soros, and they look into her brother who supposedly works for Fusion GPS. In other words, don't just look at Kavanaugh. Look at her. What is her motivation? I know it's her civic duty, but what other civic duty things has she ever done in her life? And where did she get that voice? How long was she prepped by that law firm? And how many hours was she with those people? So she was so finely tuned up for that presentation that it was painful to watch because it was all a setup. And it's just so frustrating for me out here in the world just to see this and these women coming up. And I didn't even know you can get that close to Senator, because I know you can't get that close to Dick Durbin unless you throw him a $10,000 check.
There you go.
Have a nice day.
Thanks for the call, Ed. And, by the way, the Democrats also, imagine this. They're not satisfied by how the scope of the FBI investigation is going for the next week. Imagine that after Jeff Flake capitulated, they're still not happy. Boy, who could have seen that coming? But anyway, they want, among other things, Brett Kavanaugh's drinking investigated, his college drinking investigated, and Boomer Kingsley or Chip Luddington or whatever, these other people, classmates of his, are coming forward saying
he was a boozer.
Yeah, he used to, do body shots off my belly. Jim in Crown Point.
Kavanaugh had every right to be edgy. It was just him against everybody else. I mean, they're calling him a stumbling drunk. You have commentators making this guy guilty before there's any verdict of anything. I mean, I would be a lot worse than he was. He held his cool, and he called them out. And I loved that he did call out the Clintons and everybody else that are involved in unseating him. It's just the Clarence Thomas on steroids trial.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
But they're saying that behavior is bias, and that will affect the way he is as a judge on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, they're saying, no, the Democrats are saying, no, Chris Coons, who announced he was voting against Brett Kavanaugh as soon as his name was leveled up, is saying, oh boy, that's really troubled me. Now I'm not sure he has the judicial temperament. Every one of the people saying that announced weeks and weeks ago that they were voting against Kavanaugh. So give me a frackin' break. Frank in St. Charles.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, the big picture on this, does anybody think that if Kavanaugh was a liberal, he's going to be the next liberal on the Supreme Court, that she would have even came forward?
Right. Yeah, good point. Thanks, Frank.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Attention maintenance coordinators. Fans are a vital part of your business's building or factory. You've got to keep the air moving. But when they break down or need service, who can you call? Vans Industrial repair all types of fans, from small wall fans to large air movers.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. Fan repair is one of many services that Vans offers. If you have a fan with a damaged shaft, bearing, impeller, or housing, we can help. And if you need a new fan, we handle all major brands and can provide engineering assistance to properly size your new fan. Our crews can respond to your emergencies or routine maintenance and will have your fan back up and running fast. And when we're done repairing your fan, we can also dynamically balance it so it runs smooth for years to come.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level, to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to get your fan repaired today. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web at vansindustrial.com.
Napa know-how. It takes a lot to get excited about a bag, but most bags can't save you 20% on parts and accessories. That's 20% off brake pads, 20% off oil filters, 20% off virtually anything you can fit inside the 99-cent Napa reusable bag. So tell your buddies there's a bag they just have to check out. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Minimum 3 items. Exclusions apply. Offer ends 10/31/18.
Let's think about customization presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Liberty Mutual customizes your auto insurance so you only pay for what you need. So why aren't more things in life customizable? Why isn't a burger cheaper when you ask for no onions? I don't want them, so shouldn't you deduct the price of the onions, right? Otherwise, I'm paying for the onions, but I'm not receiving any onions.
Go to libertymutual.com for a customized quote and you could save.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Equal housing insurer.
You remember a simpler time when family fun was about having fun. It didn't include the kids glued to their tablets or smartphones. Well, real family fun is back at Gobert's Pumpkin Patch. For almost 70 years, Gobert's has been Chicagoland's family destination for fall fun.
This was the most fun day ever. My parents were there, my kids were there. There was a pumpkin patch, a maze, a haunted house, slides, a train, a fresh market, and there was so much more. I loved it.
It's a family tradition for us to visit Gobert's every October. The pumpkins are great, the attractions are fun, and the apple cider donuts are to die for.
Loved it. One price to get in, and almost all the activities were free. My kids had a blast.
Listen to the kids.
My mom loves the homemade caramel apples.
I have to say, the pumpkin cannon is cool.
They got a pumpkin-eating dinosaur. The live giraffe is really cool.
I love the jumping pillow and the Pumpkin Express train ride.
Gobert's Pumpkin Patch in Pingree Grove. Pick apples, explore the pumpkin patch, play games, ride the train. Gobert'sPumpkinPatch.com. Harvesting family memories. The following is a paid political announcement.
This Manufacturing Minute brought to you by the Technology and Manufacturing Association.
This is Rich Hoster, president of Smith & Richardson Manufacturing in Geneva. Did you know that Illinois is home to 5 of the 10 biggest manufacturing zip codes in the nation and the largest industrial park in North America? And did you know that exports of U.S. manufactured goods have quadrupled over the past 25 years? That's right, manufacturing here in Illinois is strong and growing stronger. Manufacturing is no longer pouring hot iron into castings on an assembly line with sparks flying in dirty factories. U.S. manufacturing has advanced into high-skilled precision manufacturing, with factories cleaner than your kitchen, producing parts for industries such as aerospace, automotive, medical, agricultural, and tech. Today's high-tech manufacturing is the engine of our economy, and it needs our support so it can drive our state and nation forward.
This Manufacturing Minute brought to you by the Technology and Manufacturing Association. Learn more at tmaillinois.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Should Brett Kavanaugh be allowed to coach girls basketball? Serious question at 5:38.
And later, it's a love fest, but who loves who and who's getting played when it comes to President Trump and Kim Jong-un? Oh. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
57 degrees. Skies are cloudy. 2 men are dead. 3 others wounded following a shooting and crash near the South Loop. Chicago police say 5 men were traveling in a car late last night when gunfire erupted inside of that vehicle before it slammed into a pole and rolled over in the 500 block of South Michigan Avenue. Looks like there's a new deal to replace NAFTA, and it includes Canada. The U.S. and Canada came to terms ahead of a midnight deadline on a new deal. The arrangement is called the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement. It gives U.S. farmers access to the Canadian dairy market. One of President Trump's top advisors says she, too, is a victim of sexual assault. Kellyanne Conway made the statement on CNN's State of the Union. She says you'll have to be accountable for your own actions, but you have to blame the perpetrators and not take your anger out on Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Where Senator Amy Klobuchar, a Democrat from Minnesota, says she doesn't know if allegations made by Kavanaugh's accusers are credible.
I haven't met her. I do believe in due process, and she did sign an affidavit, and I think it needs to be looked into.
On CNN State of the Union, the Minnesota Democrat says she is believing right now Julie Swetnick's bold statements, but Senator Tom Cotton says Democrats have turned advise and consent into search and destroy.
Democrats have disgraced this process in the United States Senate in the orchestrated smear campaign of character assassination they've run against Judge Kavanaugh.
On CBS's Face the Nation, the Arkansas Republican says California Senator Dianne Feinstein should have showed a letter to 2 committee heads who could have taken it to the FBI and a discreet investigation done. The remnants of Hurricane Rosa set to are forecast to soak the Southwest.
We could see some sustained winds on Tuesday closer to 20 miles per hour, which would put our gusts up towards 20 or 25 miles per hour. And, of course, in higher elevations, particularly in the northern and eastern sides of Phoenix and north and east of Phoenix, we could see some stronger gusts as well.
And that will bring sandstorms ahead of flooding rains, 3 to 4 inches of rain. Publicly traded companies in California now have to include women on their boards of directors. Governor Jerry Brown signed that measure into law yesterday. Allentown, Pennsylvania, feeling the effects of a deadly car explosion that killed 3 over the weekend. Shelters have been set up for anyone who's been displaced. Authorities say among those killed is the person believed responsible. Cubs host the Brewers today in a 1-game playoff at Wrigley Field to determine the National League's Central title. The tie-breaking game is scheduled for 12:05. Comes after both teams finish the season with 95 and 67 records. The winners will be the top seed in the NL, and the loser will take on the Dodgers or Rockies in the NL wildcard game. Dodgers and Rockies have their own play-in contest. Police continue investigating the deadly shooting of a woman near Montrose Beach on Chicago's north side. The victim's body discovered yesterday. An Illinois State University student will likely face serious weapons charges after police say he pointed a gun at a handful of other students. Mitchell Trubisky, 354 yards and 6 touchdowns. Bears dominate the Buccaneers 48-10 at Soldier Field. White Sox wrap up the baseball season with a 5-4 road loss to the Twins. And the Bulls start the NBA preseason with a 128-116 victory. The news, a service of UPSJobs.com. What is future you doing right now? You could be working for UPS as a part-time package handler, now hiring in Hodgkins. Plus, receive tuition assistance from the UPS Earn and Learn program. Apply now at UPSJobs.com. 5:34. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher is blown away by what he's seeing from the left.
We're going to get down and dirty here and talk about the actual alleged exposure. She doesn't know that it's Kavanaugh who exposed himself. Everybody at the party says it didn't happen. Everybody that the New York Times chased down said it didn't happen. Everybody at the Washington Post. I mean, honest to goodness, I'm lost. I've never, ever seen such tactics.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and just because summer's over doesn't mean it's too late to paint your home. You know, the new thing right now is painting kitchen and bathroom cabinets white. And CertaPro painters can do just that. Mine are gorgeous, and it really opens up the kitchen and bathroom. Their quality work and attention to detail is unmatched. And the cold weather will be here soon. Sorry for the buzzkill, but this is Chicago, and you know what happens every 3 or 4 months. So it's time to make sure the exterior of your home is protected from the elements. And you'll want the interior looking great for holiday parties with family and friends. Yes, that's right around the corner. So don't put it off. Time to hire CertaPro painters, your residential and commercial painting experts. You can schedule a free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with the C, or call 1-800-GO-CERTA. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated. Once again, get a free estimate at CertaPro.com or call 800-GO-CERTA. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
It's a great product. And the one thing I like about it the most is that when you open the bottles, you can smell like the scent of the fruits and veggies. It's no genius thing to it. It's really just fruits and veggies, which everyone needs. And you guys put it in a way where you can take it easy and you can get it, and it's natural, and that's what I like about it. You know, I like the product, and I've taken it, and it's definitely made me feel a lot better. You know, I'm a healthy person to begin with, but it's definitely good prevention, and it's definitely gives me energy, and I feel like it's a natural thing. I like it. I really do.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
Check out the newest podcast from the Associated Press, Ground Game, hosted by AP's Meghan Crane. A weekly conversation about top political issues ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Available on Apple Podcasts.
5:37. Let's get an update on the roads. In the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim.
On the outbound Kennedy Expressway, traffic's heavy Cumberland near the Tri-State after overnight construction in that area. Also seeing delays, airport traffic there. It's heavy on westbound 190 from the Kennedy to the Tri-State. Edens is looking good. The Eisenhower is a little heavy now through the avenues. Some congestion. Be a brief tap of the brakes. Mount Stevenson tight Cicero to Pulaski and Damon to the Ryan. 38 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 18 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford jammed, 115th to Stony Island with construction. 25 minutes, 80-94 to the Verge. Tollways are okay. In northwest Indiana, there's a crash in the Rensselaer area. Southbound 65 is closed. State Road 16. It's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonkey. From the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, warmer a day ahead, a sprinkle. With some clouds and fog this morning and a little bit of sun later this afternoon. High of 74. A couple of showers and a thunderstorm overnight, low 64 and a high of 70 tomorrow. 57 across the board. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Tasty Catering. Companies serious about a successful event choose Tasty Catering. Planning begins at tastycatering.com.
See Heather McDonald, James O'Keefe, and Sheriff David Clark at Freedom Summit 2018. Get your tickets at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. The question is, has our total personal destruction politics reached a new low? Well, one politician that I think commands a good deal of respect and should, Mitch Daniels, certainly thinks so. He talked to our friend Selena Zito over at Washington Examiner over the weekend. She penned the piece, The Politicians We Deserve, which is worth a read. Mitch Daniels, now, of course, the president of Purdue University, where he's frozen tuition 7 years running.
Mm-hmm.
Compare, contrast that with our state
and
universities here. If
you have not been to that campus, you need to go. It is gorgeous. They've got new dorm rooms, a whole new downtown area. It's a beautiful place.
Mitch Daniels saying about his decision not to run for the presidency, much to our chagrin, in 2012. At the time, it was a decision that took months for me to consider, one I put great thought into with my family. Today, it would take me less than 10 minutes to decide not to run. Less than 10 minutes.
Why? Because he likes beer?
He
does like microbreweries. He's allowed a lot of them in Lafayette there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with.
I mean, on campus, that's what he can control.
Sure. Well, Munster's very own Three Floyds. You got to give them an entree into
I love
campus.
Three Floyds.
I recommend the Gumball Head. I like beer.
I like beer.
I like beer.
What do you drink? What do you drink? Huh?
I just told you, Gumball Head. Senator, relax. I'll buy you one. First round's on me. So that's Mitch Daniels. And, golly, I wonder what he's talking about. Could it be this guy you've never heard of, sports reporter for USA Today? I mean, that's redundant.
Wait.
Sports reporter for USA Today you've never heard of. No.
Who's that?
Eric Brady is his name, and he desperately wants to be in the D.C. press corps.
Yeah.
As we've commented before, the sports press corps as an extension of the D.C. press corps, the Chicago sports press corps, an extension of the Chicago political press corps. They still want to be taken seriously. They still want to be considered journalists and opinion leaders. So this is Eric Brady's big chance, because coaching girls basketball was an issue that came up during Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing, something he referenced.
I love teaching law, but thanks to what some of you on this side of the committee have unleashed, I may never be able to teach again. For the past 7 years, I've coached my two daughters' basketball teams. You saw many of those girls when they came to my hearing for a couple of hours. You have a letter from the parents of the girls I coached that described my dedication, commitment, and character. I coach because I know that a girl's confidence on the basketball court translates into confidence in other aspects of life. Yep. I love coaching more than anything I've ever done in my whole life. But thanks to what some of you on this side of the committee have unleashed, I may never be able to coach again.
And that would be a travesty.
Not according to Eric Brady, who picked up on that sentence you just heard, that closing sentence from Kavanaugh, and wrote, he just might be right. Oh, not about the part blaming Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee. That's just to avoid placing blame on his wholly sympathetic accuser. But the may never coach again part. The nation is newly vigilant on who coaches and trains its children, given recent scandals in gymnastics and other sports.
CPS.
Kavanaugh is free to... Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of... About half of the sexual assaults are volunteer coaches.
Kavanaugh is free to continue coaching in the CYO and at his daughter's private school in D.C. because he's no criminal record. He's met the volunteer requirements, said a spokesman for the Archdiocese of Washington.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. But he goes on to suggest that Kavanaugh perhaps shouldn't be allowed to coach girls basketball pending the allegations, I suppose, that have been put forward against him. What do you think? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
That's ludicrous. He's not a sexual predator. He's not a pedophile. He loves his kids. The letters from the parents speaks volumes. If the parents like you, God bless you, because that's a hard thing to attain.
Well, and I think what Kavanaugh was referring to is not formally not being able to coach girls basketball, but normatively not being able to, because he's on the sidelines coaching a girls basketball team and everybody in the crowd, and it becomes a ruckus. Somebody says something, and I mean he's just going to be, he's got the
be targeted.
He's got the scarlet A for accusation that he's wearing on his chest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's a target. By the way, that's not limited to girls basketball, as we expected. The calls for impeaching Brett Kavanaugh from the U.S. Appellate Court, the D.C. Appeals Court. Nancy Pelosi over the weekend at Texas Tribune Fest.
Well, let's take it one step at a time. I was asked that question yesterday morning, and I said, divine intervention, whatever it takes. Let's see if we can't get to a better place than that. But I will say this. If Judge Kavanaugh, see, I'm being really respectful, President Trump, Judge Kavanaugh,
is she speaking English?
She's a riot.
Is not telling the truth to Congress or to the FBI, then he's not fit not only to be on the Supreme Court, but to be on the court that he's on right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. So tell me what level of punishment you would like to inflict on Brett Kavanaugh, because that's all we're debating now. So obviously, can't be on the Supreme Court. Removal from the D.C. Appellate Court. Cannot coach girls basketball again. I would also go one step further.
What do you?
Just to beat Democrats to the punch.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe his daughter should be taken away from him and put in foster care. His daughters should, child welfare authorities should intervene and take his daughters.
You think that's next? Don't make me cry. I mean, honestly, the way that they're going right now, I could see that happening.
Amy, he's a rapist.
That's what I heard all weekend. All weekend long. And every conversation I had with every woman ended with, but he's going to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Exactly.
I don't want old white men deciding what to do, what I can do and can't do with my body.
There's the honesty. Yeah, there's the honesty. There's what this is really about. But
even if it's overturned, we'll still have it in here in Illinois.
But the position though that they're taking, he's a rapist. He should be able to coach girls basketball. He should be removed from the D.C. Appellate Court. He should. Why not?
They want to kill him. They want to kill his career. They want to kill any enjoyment he has in life, which his number one enjoyment is coaching girls basketball.
So.
And he loves his kids, so take them away too while you're at it.
Take their right. I want to attach the full complement of the implications of the position they're taking, because that's the only way to drive it home in the minds of the muddled masses, as far as I can tell. Let's do it. Who would object? He's a rapist. That's what the left says. So, why would we spare any punishment for a rapist? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Colette in North Lawndale.
Yes, good morning. I listened to most of the testimony, and I was just waiting to hear what she said about her friend who went to the gathering with her. I wanted to know if she ever checked with her if she was okay. Did she just leave her there and
she
went
left
out
her
on
there.
her own, or She left her there. So that doesn't make much sense. You know.
Well, actually,
okay, let's say she
we don't know
left
what she
her
did.
there
She
and
said
then,
she can't remember how she got home or how she got to the party.
Well, it's not so much how you got home. I'm saying if she left her there, wouldn't she be concerned even the next day or a few hours later saying, gee, is my friend okay?
Or her friend saying, hey, why did you leave? What happened? But her friend said they've never had that conversation. She never even knew that Brett Kavanaugh was at the same party.
But that would have been her corroboration.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
And it makes it, if this is your friend, why wouldn't you care that she's okay?
Thank you for the
That's
call,
all I'm
Colette.
asking.
No, that's
You're
a great
welcome. Bye.
great question. Number one. Number two, I mean, we discussed this on Friday. It's a question that should have been asked of Ms. Ford when she testified by Rachel Mitchell. That should have been asked.
Why wasn't that asked? There were so many questions I wanted to ask that were not. It was a dog and pony show. There was no there. I didn't learn much at all from those hearings.
Annie on the north side.
You know, it's just enraging. Cory Booker wrote an article about how he groped a woman's boob. Keith Ellison beats his girlfriend up. Ted Kennedy left a dead teenager in a car.
Not
allegedly. All allegedly. But
Not Ted Kennedy.
I
Yeah,
just-
that's not alleged. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for this man, and I just hope Americans wake up. It's disgusting. At first it came from groping. Now he's a predator. Predators don't change their spots. He's got a stellar record. They're ruining this man's life. And it's just insanity to me, and it's just enraging that this can happen. It can happen to any one of us then.
Yep.
Thanks for the call, Annie.
That's what Kellyanne Conway said yesterday, and she admitted, we'll talk about this later, that she was sexually assaulted too. And she said, you know what, today it's Brett Kavanaugh. Tomorrow it could be you, Jake Tapper. Somebody could level an accusation against any man at any time, and now we just believe the accuser.
Well,
there is
certainly-
no more due process. Throw that out the window.
Well, certainly public figures may be more susceptible, but
Well,
not necessarily
They're coming
so.
for you next.
Not necessarily so in a corporate setting. If somebody has an axe to grind over, a professional matter, whether it's a promotion or somebody's getting fired and they want to, take somebody down with them or get some kind of I mean, it certainly can happen. And so the question that's been batted about and dismissed by the left is are women in this country concerned about their fathers and their husbands and their sons? And the left dismisses this as, that's just a bunch of overheated rhetoric from the right. Is it? Is there any concern in this new culture for an allegation ending the career or forever staining the reputation of someone that you love who happens to be a man? I don't know. You have two sons. You worried?
Yeah, and both of them, by the way, both of them watched the hearings
Yeah.
in school. They think the woman's lying.
All right. Peyton and Eli have spoken.
Mm-hmm.
Paul and Barrington. Hey, Paul.
Oh, yes.
You're on.
You're on.
Oh, good morning.
Hi.
I just wanted to say that I saw William Bennett on a show the other day, and he spoke of two types of credibility, emotional credibility and factual credibility. And he said people are equating them. And if it gets to the point that all it takes is emotional credibility to convict someone, then we're all in trouble.
That's right. Thanks for the call, Paul. I mean, that's a fair point. You can, Miss Ford believes what or she provided a convincing performance. You could say the same thing about Kavanaugh, but then there's the underlying facts.
Well, there's got to be some credible evidence. And we know there's not going to be physical evidence, but in interviewing people that were allegedly at this alleged party, hopefully we'll find out the truth. But will anybody be satisfied? Because once, if they side with the Republicans, they're going to say, that the whole FBI investigation was orchestrated by President Trump.
Tony on the South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Listen, I got a comment, a suggestion, and an idea.
All right.
First comment. When Dick Durbin was grilling Kavanaugh about going to Trump and asking him to open an investigation, I think Kavanaugh should just look at him and say, okay, I'll do that. Will you vote for me? Second, an idea.
Yeah.
If Kavanaugh doesn't get on the Supreme Court for whatever reason, then I think we should nominate Hillary Clinton. Then we can get down to a real investigation. Last thing for you, Dan. We're going to do a squee-propped mashup. So when you use the word fracking, you got to go fracking, all right?
The F. Thanks for the call, Tony. Hold the F. You got to hold the F like Squee does. You, Senator Whitehouse, for example. Yeah, that was good. And I enjoyed the idea, the comment, and the suggestion from Tony on the South
There's a
Side.
lot there.
Jeff on 90.
Hey, good morning, guys. Like Amy, I was out all weekend, all kinds of events, and there seemed to be a consensus that maybe just this isn't the right guy. And I'm wondering, Dan, wouldn't you support, let's just pull this guy and replace him with someone equally or more conservative and take the taint off?
Thanks for the call, Jeff. I would not do that. I would not do that because number one, you have to have honor in this life. And to join the mob in destroying Brett Kavanaugh, his reputation, do additional damage to his family, just because it's more politically expedient to do so, potentially, no. That's not good enough for me. No way. Number two, it's precedent setting. It's precedent setting. We got him. Now we know what the playbook is. All you have to do is come up with a salacious allegation or multiple salacious allegations. Look under every rock. You never know where Michael Avenatti will be hiding with a client. And pull them out, and we can derail anybody. And so go nominate Amy Coney Barrett, then they couldn't come after her for the sexual harassment side. Right. They'll come after her that she's a theocrat, like Dianne Feinstein did in her confirmation hearing to the Seventh Circuit. It's precedent setting. You think if you capitulate, you will live to fight another day. In point of fact, what we should learn from this, and by the way, Illinois Republicans should learn from this, is just because you retreat doesn't mean your enemy won't chase you. Total destruction, nothing less, is what the left demands and what they pursue. So no, if by all accounts, and I'd like to take the words of, some 150 odd women that have known him for as long as
lifetime.
Yeah, they've known him.
He was close.
Life.
He had a lot of tight female friends.
All the professional women, the women who've clerked for him, so on and so forth. The parents of the girls he coached, all the kind of constituency groups we've discussed on this show. I'd like to give their perspective a little bit of weight, and take up that fight. And I think that's what we should do. I think that's what Republicans should do. I think they're generally inclined to do it, with a couple of notable exceptions, like Jeff Flake. And it's always the way. It's always the way, isn't it? But I mean, if we're just going to behave without any standards or integrity or honor when it comes to our politics, then we're going to continue to get this sort of politics. So no, unless there is something that is definitive to substantiate the claims made by Ms. Ford. Those are the only really legitimate claims we're talking about.
We'll talk about Swetnick later. That's the only joy I had this weekend, was reading her lies.
Then I'm willing to go to the mat for Kavanaugh, and I think you should be too.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, if you're missing teeth or even a single tooth, then dental implants are a fantastic way to regain your confidence, your smile, and your dental health. Hey, Sean Hannity here. So what are you waiting for? Find out now if implants are for you. Successful implants don't come from an implant factory. Skill, treatment, installation, those are the main differences for successful lifelong implants. That's why you need to see Dr. Neruzzi at Fox River Periodontics. Dr. Neruzzi is the recommended choice of dentists that don't do implants themselves. You need the experience, the skill, and honesty that over 25 years of dental implants brings, and you're going to be happy with your implant. It's not a mass production procedure because everyone is different. And Dr. Neruzzi wants to talk to you about dental implants today.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants.
Call Fox River Periodontics at 630-232-7400. They're online at implantsforme.com.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
I used to post to job boards that sent me tons of resumes.
Just to find a few people who were right for my job.
That old process was not smart.
Then I went to ZipRecruiter.
Its technology scans resumes for me to find the right people.
And actively invites them to apply. So I get qualified candidates fast. Smart.
See why ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S. Try it now for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Based on Trustpilot rating of hiring sites with over 1,000 reviews.
Noted author, former chief medical correspondent, and Salonpas user Dr. Bob Arnott.
The human body has billions of pain receptors. Block those receptors with the anesthetics found in Salonpas Lidocaine Plus, and you'll have relief. Salonpas Lidocaine Plus contains 2 anesthetics, including the maximum strength lidocaine available without a prescription. They numb aggravated nerves for effective, lasting relief. For relief, try what I use, Salonpas Lidocaine Plus.
In the silver box with the blue wave.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity for Upstream-Ideas.com. Once again, the Senate has distinguished itself as the world's greatest deliberative body and vanguard of the Republic by putting high school yearbook committees across the country on notice. Dennis Miller's long-ago formulation of Congress as a bunch of mediocre intellects Earl-shibed into looking somewhat consequential has never been more clearly illustrated than by the current Senate Judiciary Committee. My question is for establishment Republicans who were bailed out by Brett Kavanaugh and Lindsey Graham. 2 establishment Republicans recently mugged by the reality of the left themselves. Does the Shakespearean farce you witness clarify things for you? Do you now understand what you're up against? Will you now turn a deaf ear to the left's siren song? Do you now realize that whether it's the Supreme Court, Russian collusion, or tax cuts, the left entices you with talk of common ground only to carpet bomb you as soon as you step onto it? You should find it instructive when 3 former state attorneys general, Senators Harris, Blumenthal, and Whitehouse, discard the presumptions of the American justice system and thus the rule of law because they can. Now you should locate your backbones. You should define the stakes and bring the fight. Brett Kavanaugh picked up the first round. November 6th is on you.
Al Kovac Jr., Navy veteran, Paralyzed Veterans of America.
You fought the good fight and served your country with valor. Now it's our turn to fight for you.
Sherman Gillums Jr., Marine Corps veteran, Paralyzed Veterans of America.
We help you secure full benefits, quality health care, and job opportunities.
To learn more, visit pva.org, a public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
The Supreme Court goes back into session today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. With an empty seat, Brett Kavanaugh still waiting to either be confirmed or rejected by the Senate.
I heard someone who I hope I would sound like if I had been unjustly accused.
Republican Senator Jeff Flake told CBS's 60 Minutes the issue is tearing the country apart, and that's why he led the call for the FBI's week-long investigation into the Kavanaugh sexual misconduct allegations. Yesterday, his second accuser was interviewed, Deborah Ramirez. Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar told CBS,
as long as it is conducted in a professional manner and we give the FBI the ability to do their jobs instead of having it be micromanaged by the White House, we can at least get to the bottom of the evidence.
But other Democrats fear the probe will be a farce. Canada has now joined the U.S. and Mexico on a new trade agreement, revamping NAFTA, which President Trump's called a terrible deal. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
The pending trade deal, which still must be approved by Congress, will allow Canada to join an accord reached in late August between the U.S. and Mexico. The U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement will require a greater portion of cars and trucks to be made in North America. The deal also includes stronger protections for labor rights, the environment, and intellectual property. Canada also pledged to curb protection for its dairy industry, a policy President Trump has frequently criticized as unfairly restricting American exports. President Trump and the leaders from Canada and Mexico will sign the new deal within the next 60 days. Dave?
John, they'll dim the lights tonight on the Las Vegas Strip. At the moment 1 year ago when the shooting spree started,
it was just the most chaotic, destructive, evil I have ever seen in my life.
Lisa Fine escaped without being shot. 58 people were murdered, 850 injured, and a year later, no one still knows why gunman Stephen Paddock, who killed himself, did it. This is Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Cloudy skies, 57 degrees. It's 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. 2 men are dead, 3 others wounded following a shooting and crash in the South Loop. Chicago police say 5 men were traveling in a car late last night when gunfire erupted inside of that vehicle that then struck a pole and then flipped over. 4 victims were shot, including 2 who died at the scene. 2 victims, bloodied, ran into the nearby Congress Plaza Hotel following the incident. The murder trial of Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke will continue today. The officer charged in the deadly shooting of Laquan McDonald in 2014. It's not known this week whether Van Dyke will take the stand. Cubs host the Brewers today in a 1-game playoff at Wrigley Field to determine the NL Central title. Tie-breaking game scheduled for 12:05. Brewers outfielder Ryan Braun says it's good that they're meeting the Cubs in the tiebreaker because his team is ready.
Just like the last couple of weeks have been, I think we've approached almost every one of these games like a do-or-die game. Obviously, it'll be a challenging place for us to go and win, but we're playing good baseball, and if we go in there and continue to do the things we've done over the last couple of weeks, I feel good about where we're at.
The winner will be the top seed in the NL, and the loser takes on the Dodgers or Rockies, who face their own tie-breaking game in the National League West. Chicago police are looking for the person who shot and killed an elderly man in the Rogers Park neighborhood. Alderman Joe Moore says investigators right now are searching for surveillance footage.
There are a lot of good leads, and hopefully we can have enough information to apprehend the person who did this horrible deed.
An investigation is underway following a deadly shooting in Dixmoor, where Darrell Webb was found shot to death over the weekend inside of a home at 146th and 11th. This morning, a longtime Chicago grocery chain says it is shutting down after 55 years of serving customers. Treasure Island Foods will shut down its remaining locations in the city later this month. Employees were informed about the closure last week. The family-owned chain was founded in 1963. Mitchell Trubisky, a career high of 354 yards and 6 touchdowns. Bears beat the Bucs 48-10 at Soldier Field. White Sox wrap up the season with a 5-4 road loss to the Twins. Well, the Cubs did their part on Sunday to go into that National League tie-breaking contest with the Brewers. They rallied to beat the Cardinals 10-5. The news service of UPSJobs.com. What is your future you doing right now? You could be working for UPS as a part-time package handler. Now hiring in Hodgkins. Plus, receive tuition assistance from the UPS Earn and Learn program. Apply now at UPSJobs.com. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Are you still stuck on the healthcare roller coaster? Still paying those high premiums? And strapped into huge deductibles? Not knowing what's around the next turn? Well, then let me tell you about a sound, sensible healthcare choice that really is affordable. It's Medi-Share, the healthcare sharing solution people like you have been trusting in for more than 25 years. Medi-Share members report saving around $500 a month on their healthcare costs, and they never pay for things they don't believe in. Time to say goodbye to that healthcare roller coaster and say hello to Medi-Share.
Call *228 to find out how much you can save on your healthcare. Medi-Share. Call *228. Message and data rates may apply. That's *228.
When it's too cold for camping, we go camping. When it's too hot to work, we work. The John Deere Gator XUV 835 comes with game-changing heat and AC and 3 wide seating, so it's never too anything for anything. Nothing runs like the strong, and nothing runs like a Deere. Visit your John Deere dealer to test drive today. Get $400 off the Gator XUV 835M at participating John Deere dealers now through October 26, 2018. See your dealer for details.
To experience relief from muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. This non-greasy foam is proven to relieve muscle cramps fast and reduce muscle soreness. TheraWorks Relief can also prevent muscle cramps before they start, so you can get a full night's sleep without having to worry about muscle cramps. TheraWorks Relief only takes minutes to apply, absorbs quickly, and it works. TheraWorks Relief is a life-changing product, and you don't even need a prescription. Get TheraWorks Relief today in the pain relief aisle at Walmart, CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens pharmacies or TheraWorksRelief.com.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. We've all heard what the big banks have been doing. Time to call Townstone. I guarantee you can have confidence when calling me at 312-896-2110 or going to townstone.com that our only interest is getting you the best refinance deal available and to make sure your home purchase closes on time and without headaches. Great news, we have several new home mortgage programs. The first is a jumbo mortgage program that only requires a 15% down payment without any mortgage insurance. The second is a bank statement program which allows business owners and self-employed borrowers to finally qualify for a mortgage even if they don't show much income on their tax returns. Had a bankruptcy, short sale, or deed in lieu 12 months ago and want to purchase a new house? We have a program for you too. All programs have restrictions, so give me a call now at 312-896-2110. Remember, nobody values your home purchase business more than Townstone. I guarantee it. I own the company. That's 312-896-2110 or go to townstone.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois, mortgage licensee 66229 and NMLS 136639, equal housing lender.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
It is 6:08. Let's check the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
On the outbound Kennedy Expressway, traffic's heavy Cumberland near the Tri-State after overnight construction in that area. Also seeing delays with airport traffic there. It's heavy on westbound 190 from the Kennedy to the Tri-State. Edens is looking good. The Eisenhower is a little heavy now through the avenues. Some congestion. Maybe a brief tap of the brakes. Bound Stevenson tight Cicero to Pulaski and Damon to the Ryan. 38 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 18 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford jammed. 115th Stony Island with construction. 25 minutes, 80-94 to the Verge. Tollways are okay in northwest Indiana. There's a crash in the Rensselaer area. Southbound 65 is closed. State Road 16. It's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte. From the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center and meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Cloudy today with patchy fog and a sprinkle in the area early in the morning. A blend of sun and clouds for the afternoon. High today, 74. Overcast night with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, low 64. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
We are stuck at 57. Next news coming up at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth. Tune in Saturday afternoons at 2 for Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. President Trump rallying in Wheeling, West Virginia over the weekend, Saturday night. He addressed the Kavanaugh matter to the throngs of Trump supporters.
A vote to confirm Judge Kavanaugh is a vote to confirm one of the most accomplished legal minds of our time, a jurist with a sterling record of public service.
So he's not backing down, and even though he green-lighted the up to 1 week extension for the FBI to look into the allegations made against Kavanaugh, he also, despite howling from the Democrats, reiterated that there were no parameters, that the FBI has free rein to investigate as they see fit. He also took a shot at Democrats, did President Trump, in no uncertain terms about the Kavanaugh matter.
Honestly, the Democrats are a disgrace. They are. They're a disgrace. And the number one enabler of the Democrats is the fake news media right back there. I'll tell you.
So certainly he mentioned in West Virginia the polling on this, like 58-28 in terms of supporting the Kavanaugh confirmation. So it puts Joe Manchin in a bit of a trick bag, which is why there were reports out before Friday's deferral to that Manchin was a yes vote.
Really?
When it got to the floor. So we'll see on that, but Now we have to tackle the FBI probe and what that might look like and how that might go. And
who's been interviewed and who has yet to be interviewed.
yeah, I think people are very curious about the nature of the scope of the interview.
Exactly. Well, we did learn over the weekend that Swetnick will not be getting interviewed. She's the one who's represented by Michael Evanetti, who lied on her job application, said she was a biology major from Johns Hopkins University. Never happened, among other things.
Yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of there's a lot of moving parts here. You also have the Senate referring a false Kavanaugh accuser for prosecution. This is the boat on Rhode Island, that guy.
Yeah, that never happened. The docked boat where he and his friend allegedly gang raped someone, which was all just crazy talk.
So that's being referred for prosecution.
But nobody's heard
Tom Cotton wants Feinstein investigated over the leak letter. Bill Cassidy wants the FBI to probe Dems' collusion to smear Kavanaugh. And, of course, the Democrats will not only want all the accusers interviewed and their stories checked out, they also want to get into new avenues of investigation into Kavanaugh, like, for example, his drinking during college and whether or not he ever drank to the excess such that he blacked out.
They just want to see if he perjured himself.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Ron Hoskow, who's a former FBI Assistant Director, President of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund. Ron, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. You guys going to cue the music for the circus?
Yeah, well, it should. So how does the FBI... There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, instant request from Ron Hoskow. So where does the FBI play in the circus?
Well, the FBI in this sort of case, we have to keep in mind this is neither a typical FBI criminal investigation nor is it a national security investigation. So the same tools that would be in their possession during that type of work are not there here. This is a background investigation. It's run by the FBI's security division. The FBI is, in effect, a service provider for a client, and that client here and with all nominees is the White House. Typically, the background investigation starts with what's known as an SF-86. It's a lengthy form, even when it's blank, that asks questions about where you've lived, where you've worked, questions about your finances. That's the starting point typically for one of these investigations. With Mr. Kavanaugh, as you've already heard, he's already had, I think, either 5 or 6 of these investigations. And you may know, maybe you don't, that the FBI would typically start from the last background investigation and move forward. So I heard, kind of a misinformed comment by a host the other night.
Imagine that.
Said, the FBI did, miss this. They should have. Well, the FBI, if with somebody who's, I think, 53 years old and 5 or 6 prior backgrounds that presumably were clean because he's been in a position, an important position, for all that time, they're not going back beyond those to start at high school or start at start at high school and then go to middle school or grade school. They're going forward. They want to know in the most recent one, what's changed? What's new? Did you change your place of work? Are you living in a new place? Do you have new police contacts to report? And they're probing that. But they're doing it within certain parameters, typical parameters, character references, associations, financial. And now we have an accuser, or in fact multiple accusers, that do go back to high school. And so this is way different than what the FBI is normally expected to do, but they're capable of doing that which the client asks for.
Well, maybe
the White House.
Maybe they could just farm it out to Fusion GPS.
Oh, yeah. Well, since there's no physical evidence besides this calendar that Brett Kavanaugh saved from 1982, what are they going to do? I mean, it's a he said, she said situation, correct?
Yeah, I think in large measure it is, but I think they should commit themselves to as detailed an interview of Ms. Ford as she would allow to see perhaps they ask the right question and there's some additional tidbit that she can offer that they could test that goes to the validity, the credibility of her claims. And I think they would do just that. They would probe this and try to get as detailed information as possible to see if that possibility exists. Go back to Judge Kavanaugh, and, potentially with additional questions, It sounds as though they are at least going to interview this other person, Ms. Ramirez, I think it is, or they have already, to try to look for something that is, corroborates in any way their claims, where they with somebody that they told at the time. How did they get there? How did they return? What did they say? What did they do? Something that is tangible. This is very, very difficult. It's 36 years ago. We weren't all using cell phones. We weren't all texting each other or putting all of our activity on Facebook or some other social media. So, a calendar back then was probably state of the art. Mm-hmm. That may be the best that we have right now to say, look, there's some support for this, or there is no additional support. And then it goes back to the Senate, I think most of whom have already indicated what their intentions are, for the undecideds to say, I have something substantive that I can hang my vote on. It's up to them, the burden of proof required in a confirmation hearing to say, and the burden of proof could be, well, that guy's nominated by Trump. I'm a Democrat. I'm not voting for him.
So
some of them are already convinced.
So Joe Biden's comments from 1991, the Clarence Thomas confirmation hearing about the FBI, that have been much bandied about, including by us on this show, are in fact correct, that the FBI doesn't reach conclusions. They provide information, and it's the Senate's job to reach a conclusion based on the information they provided. So so what are you going to get? You're going to get another interview of Mark Judge. He sticks to the statement he's submitted previously under penalty of felony, or he recants. And then if he recants, then you've got Mark Judge versus Mark Judge. How many character witnesses are you going to go to? If you start interviewing character witnesses that back up Ford's testimony, then you got 150 women to interview that have had press conferences on behalf of Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, that seems to me there's potentially no limit in scope here, and so I don't know how the FBI limits it and passes the kind of this was handled fairly test from both sides.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that the FBI, the scope of it is going to be limited by the White House counsel's office. The Senator Grassley and company and the White House are carefully considering what they're asking the FBI to do. And the FBI would move quickly, but this is going to be circumscribed by politicians, and the end result is very likely to be, based on politics, not based on proof, because of exactly what you're talking about. He said, she said, she's my friend, he's my friend. I don't know anything that supports or refutes. It could very well be we're left in very much the same position, which is politicians bickering and battling.
What do you do when you have a person such as Mark Judge, who is admitted, has written a book about his addictions and about blacking out and about being, addicted to drugs? Is he even a credible witness?
Well, that's exactly the right question. It goes to credibility. Does he have a recall of any of the significant events? And is that recall credible, or is it just bits and pieces? Frankly, the same question goes to Ms. Ford. Mm-hmm. How credible is it? How in what detail can she define what happened? How long did this encounter last? How many beers or other drinks or any other illegal substances did she take before that might have clouded her memory, might have changed her memory? Well, those are all relevant questions. Look, I'm confident that Ms. Ford is a victim. I feel sorry for her, but her recollection ought to be tested as well to make sure that she is clear and firm in what she says happened, what she alleges. But that doesn't mean just the FBI just writing a blank check or saying, okay, we'll take you at your word. We'll test everybody else.
Yeah, and so so what was your assessment of Rachel Mitchell's job, the job that she did last week in trying to essentially test Miss Ford's testimony, Miss Ford's memory, and get her to answer some specific questions on the specific details?
I think it was. I heard it. I didn't as much see it. I was actually in the car. I thought it was okay, but it was not just a kind of a running narrative. Look, this was with millions of eyes watching. The optics of even Ms. Mitchell as the interlocutor asking the questions for the group of Republicans. There are optics issues. There are care and concern for the victim issues that were all playing out last week. I'm not sure that any or all of those processes are really focused on getting the facts, and the facts may be very difficult to get at after 36 years with anybody's memory.
Yeah.
So it's a delicate situation. I thought the optics were certainly better than having 7 or 10 old white Republican men asking these questions.
Oh, no, I know. White Republican
did the best
men.
they could with that.
Yeah, white Republican men should not be allowed to ask questions in this country. There's no question about that.
Well, they should, but the optics of it, they know what the optics of that
I
are.
understand.
And
I understand. I hear what you're saying. Ron Hoskow, former FBI Assistant Director, President of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund. Ron, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Your customers rely on hoists and cranes to do the heavy lifting at their companies. But when a hoist fails, your business can come to a halt. You need to be up and running with replacement parts or a new hoist fast. Call Cressel Power at 800-243-5432. ACO Material Handling Solutions has partnered with Cressel Power Equipment to create the fastest electric chain and wire rope hoist delivery in the business through the ACO Rapid Ship program at Cressel Power, keeping you stocked and running. Cressel also has the fastest delivery of genuine ACO replacement parts on the continent. They can deliver ACO lift chain and ACO right wire rope hoists as quick as same day. With Cressel Power, you don't have to stock any parts yourself. They stock thousands of different items and can get them to you the same day or overnight. Knowing the product line and offering technical support will put your mind at ease. Speak to a representative at Cressel Power. Call 800-243-5432. That's 800-243-5432. There's a retirement crisis in America. 10,000 people turn 65 every day with alarmingly little savings. Company pensions are a thing of the past. 401k plans are riddled with hidden fees and expenses. And we're living longer, so our retirement savings need to last longer. Plus, record low interest rates are punishing savers, forcing people to take on far too much risk in the stock market. So what can you do to ensure you don't become the result of this crisis? The answer is a customized retirement analysis that shows you the strategy on how to turbocharge your income in retirement and protect your retirement savings from stock market volatility, the rising cost of healthcare, and higher taxes. Plus, some little-known strategies on how to ensure you never run out of money in retirement. Typically, a customized analysis could cost you thousands. Call the Alpha Wealth Group right now, and it won't cost you a dime. Call 630-519-4742. That's 630-519-4742. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc. The following is a paid political announcement.
Do you believe Springfield works for us? Sean Thompson from Elmwood Park doesn't. Nobody represents me, and nobody represents you. They represent themselves. And Susan Michaud from Wheaton's home values are suffering for it.
Our property values are going down because our taxes keep going up.
Your property taxes go up, your home value goes down. The government takes your home. Rich, poor, Republican, Democrat, we're all the same when it comes to property taxes. Gino Fioravanti of River Forest is leaving Illinois because of high taxes.
We're not going to be living in Illinois anymore, and it's due to the property taxes.
Sean Thompson blames both sides. It's bipartisan failure. You either force politicians who oppose property tax caps out of office, or they force you out of Illinois. A group of independent property tax reform candidates are running to save your home and our state now. Go to SaveYourHomeNow.org to take up their fight just as they have taken up yours. You stay. The politicians go, because they're the ones who suck. SaveYourHomeNow.org.
Liberty Principles paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Want your home's furnace to stay safe and reliable? And want to prevent any potential problems before they happen? At your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, we recommend an annual furnace inspection and tune-up. Right now, get a $79 furnace tune-up. Call 855-1-HOUR. Because not taking care of your furnace, that's just cold.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1 Hour.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
What does building a better bank look like? It starts with building Capital One cafes. Warm, inviting places that feel nothing like a typical bank. Where you can open an account with no fees or minimums in 5 minutes. And you'll always find people ready to help you, not sell you. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Offered by Capital One N.A. member FDIC. Cafes available in select locations. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I spent years studying how to make this the best. I didn't make this because I wanted to make a company. Other companies are starting to catch on to this, and I buy every single other product that comes out so I can look at it and see it and test it. And I fear that people will buy some counterfeit and take it for a couple of months and go, oh, it's a bunch of crap. Doesn't work. Don't be fooled. This is the real stuff. We have absolutely the best process, and I can say that because we purchase every single one and check them out.
I took everything that was on the market. Nothing ever worked. Nothing ever worked. And this is the first thing that's really worked.
Nothing can compare with the benefits of Balance of Nature.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy talking about Kavanaugh, this political cartoon that brought to my attention from my friend Jonathan Greenberg, tweeted about it.
Yeah, he just showed me, and I'm sick to my stomach.
The cartoon, if you haven't seen it, posted on Twitter at Dan Prof. Kavanaugh's daughter says another prayer. It's Kavanaugh's daughter kneeling on her bed with her arms folded in prayer.
Yeah.
Dear God, forgive my angry, lying, alcoholic father for sexually assaulting Dr. Ford.
Wow.
See, everybody in Kavanaugh's extended family has to be destroyed along with him. That's the left's position. That's the left's attitude.
The girls should be off limits.
No. Not only should they not be off limits, I say again, I want to attach meaning to the left's position. So, obviously, Kavanaugh should be removed from the D.C. Appellate Court. Obviously, he should be barred from coaching. In addition, and I'm waiting for this, I don't know why it's taking so long.
Oh, you want DCFS to come and take his kids away?
I do want that. That's the left's position. Oh. He's a rapist. If he's a rapist, the kid shouldn't be there. Right? So I want that to happen. But also...
his wife to leave him?
I also want that police report filed, and I want him arrested. So let's go. The left's position is he's a rapist. So arrest him, necessarily removing him from the D.C. appeals court, necessarily barring him from coaching basketball, necessarily removing his daughters from his custody. Right?
Please don't give anybody ideas.
This is the politics that we've begotten by letting the left run roughshod over decency.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll localize the left's conduct. Daniel Biss, the socialist preferred candidate in the Democrat primary, recently passed for governor, state senator from the North Shore. He's gone full Maxine Waters at a Panera on the North Shore. We'll talk to our friend Ted Dabrowski from wirepoints.com about it at 6:36.
And later, was it an honest, compelling moment? Kellyanne Conway admits to being sexually assaulted. But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
57 degrees, and the prosecutor speaks. It's 6:31. The Arizona prosecutor who questioned Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh's accuser at a Senate meeting last week says no reasonable prosecutor would pursue that case. Maricopa County Prosecutor Rachel Mitchell of Phoenix wrote in a memo to Republicans on the Judiciary Committee that Christine Ford did not present a consistent account of allegations against the Supreme Court nominee. Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota disagrees this morning with those who believe there was no evidence to back Christine Blasey Ford's claim.
6 years ago, she said his name
to her husband in a therapy session, and there are notes from that session. She took a polygraph test and passed with flying colors, and the FBI can look at that.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says, in the meantime, the White House is not managing the ongoing FBI investigation into the process and Brett Kavanaugh.
The Senate is dictating the terms. They laid out the request, and we've opened it up. And as you heard the president say, do what you need to do.
Fox News Sunday had Sanders as a guest. The Supreme Court will begin its new term today with only 8 justices. The 9th seat will remain unfilled. Scientists from the U.S. and Japan are winners of the Nobel Prize for Medicine. The Nobel Institute announcing today that Jim Allison and Tasuka Honjo are being honored for their discoveries, leading to new approaches in using the immune system to fight cancer. The U.S. and Canada agreeing on new terms in a trade deal that replaces NAFTA. That new deal, brokered by the Trump administration, gives U.S. farmers access to Canadian dairy markets. 2 men are dead here in Chicago, 3 others wounded following a shooting and crash in the South Loop. Cubs host the Brewers today after a 1-game playoff at Wrigley Field to determine the NL Central title. Cubs first baseman Anthony Rizzo says they played well enough to beat the Cardinals yesterday and get set for the postseason.
Just the overall approach today, 2 outs, a lot of 2-out rallies, 2-out knocks, 2-out walks, Javi taking his 2-out walk. Just kept things going and kept the line moving, and we usually have good success when we do that.
Winner is the top seed in the NL, while the loser will face either the Dodgers or Rockies in the NL wild card game. Mitchell Trubisky, 6 touchdowns. Bears dominate the Buccaneers, 48-10 at Soldier Field. Bears defensive lineman Akeem Hicks is facing a possible fine and suspension for bumping an official. The news service of the Positive Coaching Alliance got issues with youth or high school sports. Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports. Coaches, students, visit PCADevZone.org. 6:34, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The last time you tried to set up for a presentation, it was a disaster. Your coworkers were embarrassed, and your clients had a look on their faces like they'd rather be anywhere else. It could have gone so much smoother with a conference room designed and installed by Midwest Computer Products. You spend precious time creating the perfect presentation, only to have it all blow up because your audio-visual equipment is outdated and not compatible with current technology. Partner with Midwest Computer Products for a space that dazzles your clients and employees and saves you the constant headache of keeping up with technology. Whether you're reimagining your corporate conference rooms, creating a huddle space, or implementing a video conferencing initiative, Midwest Computer Products is ready to help your business become state-of-the-art. And for a limited time, Midwest Computer Products is offering free design and consultation service when you upgrade your conference room. Get a quote today and see all that Midwest Computer Products can do for your business at MidwestComputer.com. That's MidwestComputer.com.
Being successful in business means overcoming enormous obstacles to serve your customers and the community. We want to learn from successful businesses that are thriving, what makes them unique. Today, we hear from Mick O'Rourke, Kevin Bastuga, and Brian Duncan of Signature Bank as they tell us how I built it. Presented by Chicagoland Waterproofing.
Kevin and Brian and myself worked at a larger institution, and we saw the need to serve the middle market companies located in Chicago and the surrounding communities. And in 2005, we wrote the famous business plan and approached the regulators in 2006 and opened our doors on August 4th, 2006.
The idea of starting a true commercial bank here in the city of Chicago truly resonated with our investors and our prospects and customers. But needless to say, it was a tumultuous time. 2009 through 2012, the financial crisis was difficult to navigate. But fortunately for us, we stayed true to our roots. We worked with family-owned, privately held businesses where we had true relationships. And those businesses, they had to buckle down and they had to do the things they needed to do to survive, but we stuck with them and they stuck with us. As we approached 2019, we're almost $1 billion in assets and we're growing, and it's been very successful so far.
As the economy has improved, now we are seeing another wave of consolidation, and really what's happening is that market that we focus, the lower middle market business here in Chicago and in the Midwest, continues to be underserved. And so that personal touch that business is used to gets sort of, left in the balance.
We're here for the long term. So whether they stay in Chicago, Franklin Park, Melrose Park, or move up to Pleasant Prairie, we're there for them. And we have the technology and the services, whether they're 90 miles away or 9 miles away.
This edition of How I Built It is sponsored in part by Signature Bank and Ozinga. To tell us about how you built your business, go to 560theanswer.com/built.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, best beans, best roast, best coffee.
6:37, and a check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
Northbound Tri-State traffic is heavy. Plainfield Road to 47th and jammed. Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. But Adams Tollway stop and go. Tri-State to Kennedy. Roadwork delays on southbound 53 from the Adams Tollway to Higgins. Eden, 35 minutes. Lake Cook Junction outbound 21. Kennedy, 30 minutes. O'Hare to downtown outbound 38. Inbound Eisenhower. Now looking at a travel time of 54 minutes. 390 to downtown. 40 from Manheim. Outbound 37 to 390. Stevenson, 52 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 36. Bryan, 24 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 18 minutes, I-80 to the Verge Bishop Ford, 30, single lane road work, Stony Island. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, a warmer day with a sprinkle this morning and a little bit of sun later this afternoon, a high of 74. Overcast, couple of showers, maybe a thunderstorm overnight, low 64. Currently 57. Next news coming up at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't forget that you can watch Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
When you've got questions, he always has an answer. It's Sean Hannity this afternoon at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Even before Jeff Flake and his boyfriend, Chris Coons, engineered the week delay on the Kavanaugh confirmation vote, you had former Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner already surrendering to the left.
Yeah, that's right. He said that he believes Christine Ford.
No, not exactly. He said she's credible,
Right.
but the real issue is he said that the Kavanaugh vote should be delayed. He said that on NPR on Friday morning before it ultimately was delayed by Jeff Flake. So why wouldn't the left in this state run roughshod over the Republicans? Why wouldn't leftist politicians adopt the philosophy of Maxine Waters in Illinois? I mean, the Illinois
Rauner's still vying for those Democratic votes.
The Illinois GOP makes Jeff Flake look like King Leonidas. And so this story is interesting.
Oh, boy.
The socialist preferred candidate in the Democrat gubernatorial primary back March, Daniel Biss, state senator from the North Shore, civilized, Tony, enlightened, reflective, accomplished North Shore. You know, because they select a socialist like Dan Biss to represent them. He had an encounter with our friend Ted Dabrowski from WirePoints.com at a Panera Bread. I assume it's in Wilmette or somewhere on the North Shore, but a local Panera Bread.
Off of Green Bay Road, perhaps.
Daniel Biss, state senator, this little Poindexter, accosting Ted Dabrowski. We've had Ted Dabrowski on the show before.
Yeah, many times.
You couldn't have a more good-natured guy, and Dan Biss is lucky that he is such a good-natured guy when you hear this story.
I can't wait to hear it.
But the idea, I mean, Ted Dabrowski writes at WirePoints.com, talks about on panels, pension reform, taxes. I mean, this is not a partisan guy. This is a policy wonk.
Yeah.
But this is how he gets treated by his duly elected state senator on the enlightened, civilized, forward-looking, educated North Shore. Ted Dabrowski, WirePoints.com president. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, guys.
So, Ted, tell us what happened when you went to get a bowl of soup.
Well, so there I was in line, just waiting for whatever I ordered, and I see Dan Biss and a lady colleague of his, and it looked like they were about to walk out when he sees me from afar and says, "Is that Ted Dabrowski? Is that Ted Dabrowski?" So he walks over to me, and I'm interested in what this encounter is going to look like. We've sparred over the past, over policy, and I didn't expect any niceties, let's put it that way. Anyway, I put my hand out, we shook hands, and he immediately turns to his colleague and says, "Do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? Seriously?" And I'm waiting to see where this is going. He goes, "He's a horrible person." He never looked at me. He was looking at her. "He's a horrible person." And, she was shaking her head that she didn't know who I was. And I'm waiting for this thing to turn into a normal conversation when he just finally says to her, "We're going to destroy them." And he says it again. And then he turns around and just walks away. And she sheepishly didn't know what to do, so she followed him. And I was like, wow, it wasn't a big deal, right? He didn't assault me. He didn't cuss at me. But what I found amazing was that this guy was arrogant enough to come into a public spot, I don't know if he's trying to insult me, intimidate me, bully me. I have no idea. I've got pretty thick skin, so it doesn't really matter. But, he thinks he can walk to somebody, do that, and walk away and get away with it. And that's I think the bigger story about this is what our Illinois politicians think they can do. They think they can do anything they want and get away with it. And that's wrong.
Well, did his female companion or whoever he was there with, did she say anything to you, or did she just look shell-shocked?
Oh, yeah, she was baffled. She couldn't tell what was going on, and neither could I, because I thought we were going to have some kind of normal conversation. It never turned to that, and so she just finally figured out that she had to kind of walk away because she didn't know what to do.
I thought you were going to say you were so offended because she didn't know who you were. And so you turned on her. So did anybody else overhear this, excoriation?
Well, to be fair, it wasn't like crowded at the time. And I myself didn't really look around. I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And what my mind went to is I'm not going to let him do this and just get away with it because that's what he wants. And I think it's kind of the same thing as, Rahm Emanuel with his $10 billion pension bond. These guys want to do whatever the hell they want, and they don't want to be challenged, and they don't want anybody to get in their way. And, guys like us at WirePoints are calling them out for it, and we're going to continue to do it, and they don't like it.
Well, I think that what's interesting, too, it's instructive, is what he said to you, which is number one, you're a terrible person because you disagree with him on, pension borrowing, for goodness sakes.
And probably health care reform.
And number two, that they're out to destroy you and your ilk.
Well, yeah, they've got a narrative, and their narrative is a bigger government that taxes more, that protects pensions, the pension system the way it is, that they want a progressive tax increase. And oftentimes, and Dan knows it because I've disagreed with him on policy all the time, I oppose all those things. I want a government that's affordable for the people. I want state workers to control their own retirements, not to be having Madigan's hands and Rounder's hands and Rahm Emanuel's hands in their retirements. And they don't like us challenging their narratives, and so they want to destroy what we say.
Do you think
they're emboldened enough to do that?
Well, but do you think it's more than destroy what you say? Because that's not what he said. I want to destroy your policy position. We're going to destroy you and your ilk. That's a different thing.
Well, no, and you're absolutely right. It's these guys are angry. They want their way, and we've seen it all the time. And I think Rahm Emanuel is a perfect example of that. They don't want people to challenge them, and they want those people out of their way. And this is, Dan Biss, who wanted to be the representative of the people, right? He wanted to be governor. Right. And I just find it fascinating that these guys have the audacity to do that kind of stuff.
Do you think Maxine Waters' call to action, so to speak, if you see your Republican enemy go up and say something to them, do you think she inspired him to do this?
Well, I was conflicted, tying Biss to Maxine Waters because, I don't want to do that stuff, but I can't help but think that these people are emboldened by those kind of statements, right? When Maxine Waters tells people to go bully people, a guy like Dan Biss might get inspired. Or maybe he's angry that he didn't win, maybe he's I don't know. Maybe,
well, when was the last time you saw him? Were you guys on a panel together?
It's been a while since we've been in a panel together, but
he must remember it vividly.
Yeah, what did you do?
So what about like friends and neighbors on the cobblestone-lined streets of Wilmette? There, Ted. Does this go over well with them? They happy with their choice? What's your sense of the political culture and what will be tolerated in one of the wealthiest and putatively most educated areas of the state?
Well, it's hard right now. I'd say so many people are conflicted in Illinois, and we know that, right? We've lost 1.3 million people on a net basis since 2000 to other states. And they're going to catch up with Dan Biss's policies at some point. Right now, they may like him, his smoothness and all that. They like, but when push comes to shove, it's his group of senators and representatives that have brought the state to where it is. And at some point, nobody's stupid, right? Everybody gets smart at some point, and they're going to see what's happening to the state, and they're not going to like his policies.
Boy, I'll tell you what, if they think Dan Biss is smooth, then they really are lost. Then it really is over.
And they do. That's what's amazing.
Has he responded to your article or to any of your tweets or anything?
He has not, and it'll be interesting to see if he does. But my response to him, and rather than getting to name calling him, I'd love to debate him, because I don't think that he has merits for the things that he supports. I'd love to have a one-on-one debate with him, or any group debate. Yeah. And let's talk about the issues, because that's what people deserve. Not name calling, not bullying, not his form of whatever the hell you call that, whatever he's doing.
All right, well, grow eyes in the back of your head next time you go into the local Panera, though. Look out for Biss hiding behind a ficus. Ted Dabrowski, president of WirePoints.com. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And one other note on this, just in Illinois, connect to the politics. Our friend Scott Bertram from Hillsdale College. Mm-hmm. He used to be on WROK in Rockford. He tweeted out a picture yesterday. Winnebago County GOP headquarters in Rockford vandalized, and it's spray painting the word rape all over the building, and the glass door with all the Republican candidate signs in the windows there, just rape in different colors all over. All over the building and the door.
Surprised they haven't gotten caught yet. Or weren't caught in the act, the time that it took to do all that, the vandalism, the spray painting.
But we love Dan Biss in this state, right?
Dan Biss.
We love vandals in Rockford in this state, right?
I wonder who he was with. Does his wife know he was with somebody?
We love the left in this state, right?
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Republicans push for more tax cuts. JetBlue offering a basic ticket. And China says it won't be pushed around on trade. Those stories are next.
How much do you spend on your pest control each year? $200, $300, or even $500 or more? What if I said you could spend less than $25 a year? Even less with promo code SAVE20. Then listen up. G'day, I'm Scott from Plug-in Pest Free, and yes, it is possible to rid your home or business of unwanted pests for less than $25 per year. The answer is Plug-in Pest Free. Our bestseller, the Plug-in Pest Free Pro, will cover up to 4,000 square feet. Now that's fair income. For just a one-time cost of only $249, even less with promo code SAVE20, you'll be pest-free for years to come. Log on to gopestfree.com today. Use promo code SAVE20 and start driving those pests away. Don't spray and regret. Plug in and forget. Gopestfree.com. That's gopestfree.com. Promo code SAVE20.
The House has passed legislation to expand the GOP tax law. The bill would make permanent the individual and small business tax cuts. It's the second tax cut proposal Republican leaders have pushed in less than a year. JetBlue following the lead of larger rivals, offering a stripped-down ticket with fewer options than regular economy fares. The airline says customers who take the cheap fare will face boarding and seat restrictions. China warns that its relationship with the United States could break like a glass. The Chinese foreign minister telling the United Nations his country will not be blackmailed, as he put it. His comments coming after President Trump ordered new tariffs on $200 billion of Chinese exports to the United States last week. Please tune in to Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Facebook message from a friend of mine about Dan Biss. And I'm sure Dan Biss has a "hate has no home here" sign in his front lawn, too. Exactly. The virtue signaling hypocritical left. Perfect. Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do each morning on this show. This week, our long-form interview in our Against the Current series, Scott the Cow Guy Shellady. Couldn't be a better time to hear what Scott has to say, given the NAFTA, or whatever we're calling it now, reconsummated. Now that Canada's in as well, happened last night. So we'll see if Trump's strong start, get Scott's take on whether Trump's strong start, the economy's robust growth, can continue, or if tariffs and government spending will fell the economy's strong performance in the first year and a half of Trump's administration. Check out Scott Shellady, Against the Current, upstream-ideas.com. And again, property taxes and home sales, home prices, all the updated home sale and property tax info for the first 6 months of this year, Chicago Metro, at defendhomeowners.com, where you can also get a free property tax report on your home. Just type in the address and you get it. So all the property tax, home sales info, defendhomeowners.com, everything else, including Scott the Cow Guy, upstream-ideas.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I thought I had a sinus headache for a few days, but I had a massive brain aneurysm, hemorrhage of the brain, and a stroke, and I was on my deathbed. I was on a respirator in a coma for 35 days, and 3 months later, I came home in a wheelchair. I had double vision. I had to learn to walk again, to speak again. 1 and 1 is 2, write the alphabet. You know, if I went out and did a little something, I'd come home, I'd be in bed. Now, I'm up by like 5:30 in the morning, and I go to the gym. I do shopping. I cook. I have energy all day. I mean, I feel great. Overall, my whole outlook, just feeling, my mental aspect, everything is better.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
If you did not purchase health insurance coverage during the 2017 open enrollment, I can help you purchase a PPO health insurance plan at any time during the year. This is Tom Marabali, your health insurance advocate and independent producer for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and other health insurance carriers. If you are between the ages of 19 and 64, you are automatically paying for maternity coverage whether you want the coverage or not. If you are a non-smoking 50-year-old male or female living in the city of Chicago, the monthly premium rate for a 100% tax-deductible health savings account PPO plan would be $590 per month. But I can show you how to eliminate the mandatory maternity benefit and lower your monthly premiums down to approximately $240 per month. To see if you qualify or for more information, call me, Tom Marabali, at 630-863-3477. That's 630-863-3477.
Hey, join the Heartland Institute and me on Friday, October 26th for the 34th anniversary benefit dinner at the Cotillion in Palatine. I will be your MC, and the featured speaker will be Judge Andrew Napolitano from the Fox News Channel. Judge Napolitano is nationally known for watching and reporting on the government, and his no-holds-barred, hard-hitting commentary on government overreach and the abuse of our rights. Register today to reserve your VIP tickets or a whole table and meet Judge Napolitano. His important and unforgettable speech will be on the Constitution and human freedom. Also be there to help celebrate the lives of two people who have dedicated their lives to advancing liberty. Heartland Liberty Prize winners Joe Bast, the co-founder and former president of the Heartland Institute, and his wife Diane. Don't be held in contempt. Join the Heartland Institute and me, Judge Napolitano, on Friday, October 26th at the Cotillion in Palatine. For tickets or information, call 312-377-4000 or visit heartland.org. That's 312-377-4000 or heartland.org. I'll see you there.
Message and data rates may apply.
The moment your child was born, your life changed forever. A dream came true, but other dreams, like getting your master's degree, may have been put on hold. But it's not too late. Patricia is earning her MBA from the University of Illinois as part of the iMBA program, 100% online on Coursera.
After giving birth, it was really hard. I don't think I would be able to have finished any other program.
Coursera is your online path to master's degrees from acclaimed universities. Discover the degree right for you by texting PROUD to 250250. Applications available now.
Getting my MBA makes me feel empowered. I don't need to stop working. I don't need to stop being a mother. I don't need to stop having my life. And that is everything.
Find the degree right for you by texting PROUD to 250250. Coursera, your course to success. Text PROUD to 250250.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so SNL's cold open on Saturday night.
It was funny.
Matt Damon as Brett Kavanaugh.
Dr. Ford has no evidence, none. Meanwhile, I've got these. I've got these calendars. These beautiful, creepy calendars about lifting weights with PJ and Squee and Donkey Dong Doug. But you don't care about Squee or Donkey Dong Doug, do you? You just want to humiliate me in front of my wife and my parents and Alyssa friggin' Milano?
They brought up this picture of Alyssa Milano, you know, one of the big photographs. I could not stop laughing. I thought it was brilliant.
And the exchange, the parody of the exchange between Kavanaugh and Di-Fi regarding an FBI investigation.
Would you agree to an FBI investigation?
You want a real investigation? Then just look at my calendar. And you're going to see that every night I was lifting weights with PJ and Squee and Handsy Hank, Gangbang Greg, which, you know, the liberal media is going to find some way to spin.
And they kept asking him, did you ever black out from drinking?
Did you ever drink too many beers?
You mean, was I cool? Yeah.
And then he was slamming water and it was falling all over and then tearing his papers. He nailed it. I thought he was great.
The temperament for the job.
Do you really think you have the right demeanor and temperament to be a Supreme Court justice?
Papers.
I went to Yale. Worked my butt off to get here. I busted my buns. I lifted weights. Every day. With Tobin, PJ, and Squee.
I mean, Squee is just a funny name. Every time he says Squee, I can't help from laughing.
I want them to investigate Squee to find out what his real name is.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Kellyanne Conway makes a revelation over the weekend. We'll talk about it at 7:07.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
2 are killed, 3 wounded after an early morning shooting and crash on Michigan Avenue. The Van Dyke trial resumes later today. And how about Mitch Trubisky? 6 touchdowns in a Bears win. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
The Supreme Court moves on without Brett Kavanaugh. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The court's new term starts this morning with an empty seat. Kavanaugh's nomination still held up by sexual misconduct allegations. Republican Senator Tom Cotton supports him and told CBS.
What evidence there is to a 36-year-old claim, all support Judge Kavanaugh's denial.
The FBI is now investigating, but some Democrats fear it's a farce. Senator Mazie Hirono told ABC she has concerns.
Whether or not this FBI investigation is going to be thorough.
Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
2 Trump senior administration officials say that the White House has not placed any limits on the week-long FBI supplemental investigation into 2 claims of sexual assault leveled against Brett Kavanaugh. In fact, President Trump tweeted late Saturday that he wanted FBI agents to interview whoever they deem appropriate at their discretion. Already interviewed by the FBI, Debbie Ramirez, a Yale classmate who claims Kavanaugh exposed himself to her when they were first-year students. Dave?
John, the U.S. and Canada have a trade deal joining Mexico, revamping NAFTA. President Trump hated that deal. He just tweeted, "This one's great for all three countries." His trade policy advisor, Peter Navarro, just told Fox.
Well, it's the biggest deal in history, no hyperbole. $1.2 trillion in trade.
There are new rules on auto manufacturing that will help bring more car production back to the U.S. American farmers will now have an easier time getting their goods to Canada and Mexico, including dairy, which has been a sticking point for President Trump in regards to Canada's dairy market. Now, all three countries are expected to sign the deal by December 1st.
Fox's Garrett Tenney. The Justice Department suing California over a new net neutrality law regulating internet providers, which is at odds with the federal deregulation. Attorney General Sessions calls California's attempt extreme and illegal. They're still digging for survivors in Indonesia after last week's earthquake and tsunami that killed at least 840 people.
This is just a terrible tragedy.
Australia's Prime Minister pledging his help. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
In Chicago, 56 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 2 men are dead, 3 others wounded following a shooting and crash near the South Loop. Chicago police say 5 men were traveling in a vehicle late last night when gunfire erupted inside that vehicle. It smashed into a pole and flipped over in the 500 block of South Michigan Avenue. The murder trial of Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke continues later today. The officer charged in the deadly shooting of Laquan McDonald in 2014. Cubs host the Brewers today in a 1-game playoff at Wrigley, determining the National League Central title. Cubs skipper Joe Maddon says the weekend was like a playoff series with the Cardinals.
I mean, it felt like extra innings, having to deal with so many different pitching changes. They came out, played it right, so we had to do with all the different manipulations that we did, but it worked, and we get to play 163.
Tiebreaker game scheduled for 12:05. Both teams, Brewers and Cubs, finished with 95 and 67 records. Chicago police are looking for the person who shot and killed an elderly man in the Rogers Park neighborhood. Alderman Joe Moore says investigators are searching for surveillance footage.
There are a lot of good leads, and hopefully we can have enough information to apprehend the person who did this horrible deed.
Chicago sports, Mitchell Trubisky threw for a career-high 6 touchdowns. Bears dominate the Buccaneers 48-10 at Soldier Field. Bear wideout Taylor Gabriel says Trubisky took a big step forward.
I feel like it did. From translating what we did in practice to the game, I feel like he did, and I feel like it should be the start to a great season.
And Gabriel had the fruits of that work: 7 catches, 104 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the Bears' win. White Sox wrap up the baseball season with a 5-4 road loss to the Twins, and the Bulls were weekend preseason NBA winners, 128-116 over the Pelicans. The news service of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America, inviting you to take steps for cures at a walk event near you. Support the 1.6 million Americans living with these diseases and get started at cctakesteps.org. 7:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Don't miss Freedom Summit 2018, presented by Geiger Wealth Management, Chicagoland's retirement expert, on Saturday, October 27th. This year, featuring headline speakers, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark and James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Also appearing, AM 560's Mike Gallagher, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Joe Walsh. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Chicagoland Waterproofing and by Tom Mirabaldi, independent agent for Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois.
When it's too cold for camping, we go camping. When it's too hot to work, we work. The John Deere Gator XUV 835 comes with game-changing heat and AC and 3 wide seating, so it's never too anything for anything. Nothing runs like the strong, and nothing runs like a Deere. Visit your John Deere dealer to test drive today. Get $400 off the Gator XUV 835M at participating John Deere dealers now through October 26, 2018. See your dealer for details.
To experience relief from muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. This non-greasy foam is proven to relieve muscle cramps fast and reduce muscle soreness. TheraWorks Relief can also prevent muscle cramps before they start, so you can get a full night's sleep without having to worry about muscle cramps. TheraWorks Relief only takes minutes to apply, absorbs quickly, and it works. TheraWorks Relief is a life-changing product, and you don't even need a prescription. Get TheraWorks Relief today in the pain relief aisle at Walmart, CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens pharmacies, or TheraWorksRelief.com.
Are you happy with what's looking back at you in the mirror? I'm Dr. Howard Cooper from Excellence in Dentistry, and we'd like to help you with that smile. Whether you're looking to fix 1 or 2 teeth or a whole smile makeover, we can take care of all your dental needs. We have a beautiful modern facility and a great staff. And most importantly, we love what we do. That's what sets us apart from other offices. Let's face it, a dental office is not everyone's favorite place. Whether you're 2 or 102, we make it fun and enjoyable. We perform all types of dentistry as well. Fillings, root canals, crowns, extractions, dentures, implants. We do most everything right in our office. And for you denture wearers, we have a full in-house denture lab and can perform repairs and relines while you wait. We can also talk about adding implants so your denture will snap into place or become screw retained. This is the closest option to natural teeth. We are conveniently located in Gurnee at the corner of Washington and 21 in Saratoga Square. So make today the day you give us a call. 847-244-4000. That's 847-244-4000. Or visit us on the web at GurneeDDS.com. We look forward to seeing you, and remember, second opinions are always free. Excellence in dentistry, creating excellence one smile at a time.
What is future you doing right now? You could be working for UPS as a part-time package handler, now hiring in Hodgkins. Plus, receive tuition assistance from the UPS Earn and Learn program. Apply now at upsjobs.com.
7:07. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Northbound Tri-State traffic heavy Plainfield Road to 47th and jammed Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. But Adams Tollway stop and go. Tri-State Kennedy. Roadwork delays on southbound 53 from the Adams Tollway to Higgins. Edens, 35 minutes. Lake Cook Junction outbound 21. Kennedy, 30 minutes. O'Hare to downtown outbound 38. Inbound Eisenhower. Now looking at a travel time of 54 minutes. 390 to downtown. 40 from Manheim. Outbound 37 to 390. Stevenson, 52 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 36. Ryan, 24 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 18 minutes, I-80 to the Merge Bishop Ford, 30, single-lane road work, Stony Island. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Patchy fog and drizzle for the morning, then a blend of sun and clouds for the afternoon with a high today 74. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm for tonight with a low 64. For tomorrow, couple of morning showers, otherwise mostly cloudy, high 70. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560 The Answer.
Currently in Chicago, 58 degrees. Your next news update is at 7:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Make sure to check out the Income Store live video stream of today's show right now at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Did Republicans make the right call in acceding to the demands of Washington's favorite item, Senators Jeff Flake and Chris Coons? May or may not have been the result of Jeff Flake being accosted in an elevator. I don't know that we'll ever know. It's interesting. Jeffrey Toobin of CNN. Mm-hmm. Don't normally agree with Jeffrey Toobin, find him to be a despicable figure, and I'll explain that description in a moment. But
a little aggressive.
Wait till you hear why. We'll see if your opinion stays the same. Jeffrey Toobin says of Jeff Flake, there is no weaker, more pathetic figure in the United States. If there's a weaker, more pathetic figure in the U.S. than Jeff Flake, I'm not aware of who it is. I thought yesterday was a classic demonstration of his inability to stand for anything. That's wow. Jeffrey Toobin on Flake. I agree with him on that. The problem with Jeffrey Toobin, do you know the story of Jeffrey Toobin? since you watch these individuals pontificate on the cable news channels.
I've been watching him for about 10 years now. I don't know his backstory.
Do you know about his affair with Jeff Greenfield's daughter when he was married? Do you know about the...
How old was she? I mean, it was the fact that...
He was late 40s, she was late 20s. Do you know about the child out of wedlock that they had? Do you know that he pressured her to get an abortion? Do you know that he was recalcitrant in providing child support? Real feminist hero, Jeffrey Toobin on CNN. Remember that story when you see Jeffrey Toobin like he is right now on CNN inveighing against Republicans, talking about legalities and social mores and the like.
What a pig.
You want to let's
Is he still married?
Yes, he is.
Oh.
You want to turn everybody's life upside down? Anybody who's in a position of influence, and being a talking head on cable news is a position of influence, at least to some segment of the population. Just interesting. So anyway, back to Jeff Flake. Flake and Coons on 60 Minutes yesterday. You know,
how they came to their decision to delay the
and the
deadline.
whole Scott Pelley, you know, what did you feel when
he tapped him on the shoulder to come talk to me. Sorry.
Ask both of you what you made of Judge Kavanaugh's very emotional response and what it may or may not say about his judicial temperament. Does this man belong on the Supreme Court?
Well, when he walked out, and you could see him open his binder and put his paper here, and we knew that he was eager to testify. And I have to say that when I heard him, I heard someone who I hoped I would sound like if I had been unjustly accused. And to see his family behind him, as Chris said, and it was anger. But if I were unjustly accused, that's how I would feel as well. And as it went on, I think his interaction with some of the members was a little too sharp. But the statement at the beginning, I thought, was pretty raw, but in keeping with someone who had been unjustly accused.
You want to follow Jeff Flake into battle, do you? You want Jeff Flake in your foxhole when your life or your professional career is on the line? Good Lord. I mean, Flake makes Murkowski look like Lincoln. Here's his boyfriend, Chris Coons.
It's his lava.
Chiming in as well. It was fun to see them complete each other's sentences.
He had exchanges with Senator Feinstein, with Senator Klobuchar, with others that I thought went over a line. He was clearly belligerent, aggressive, angry, and I thought there was a tough dynamic there. As I watched him, part of me thought, this is a man who believes that he did nothing wrong and he's completely unjustly accused and he's being railroaded and he's furious about it. There were some lines that he delivered that were sharper, more partisan, more, this is the Clintons paying me back. This is a Democratic smear campaign, that I was surprised, struck to hear from a judicial nominee. I'm not at all surprised to hear that from other colleagues in the committee or on television, but I was really struck that I thought his anger got the best of him and he made a partisan argument that would have been best left to be made for his advocates and defenders on the committee.
Made you wonder about his suitability?
In my case, yes, it made me wonder about his suitability.
Yeah, Coons is wondering about Kavanaugh's suitability, even though he's announced weeks ago he's going to vote against him like every other Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Be a more disingenuous D-bag, why don't you? I challenge you. I don't think it's possible. Ron Fournier, National Journal, he tweeted out, entitled white men acting like the new minority, howling about things that are being taken away from them, aggrieved at anything that diminishes them or saps their power, mocking that anybody would do anything other than, as David French said, the white man should take false accusations of sexual assault, rape, indecent exposure with quiet dignity because of whiteness or social justice or something. If you're wrongly accused, you're supposed to say, thank you, I understand that I've been accused of this. I'm a white man, I'm privileged, I'm guilty, and so whatever may befall me is justified, even though I may not have done anything that I'm accused of doing because of the accident of my birth as a white man.
Oh, so you're supposed to bend over and take it, right?
Sorta.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Flake went on to, when Scott Pelley asked him, would you have been able to do this, like delay this deadline had you been seeking re-election?
Senator Flake, you've announced that you're not running for re-election, and I wonder, could you have done this if you were running for re-election?
No, not a chance.
Not a chance?
No.
Because politics has become too sharp, too partisan?
Yeah, there's no value to reaching across the aisle. There's no currency for that anymore. There's no incentive.
It's such a telling statement. That's the most telling thing that Flake said during that interview, when he was able to extract himself from playing footsie with Chris Coons for 5 seconds. I wouldn't have done this if I was running for re-election. Oh, I see. So you're doing this because it's the right thing to do. But if you're running for re-election, you wouldn't do what you say is the right thing to do because you're interested in getting re-elected. Mm-hmm. You're a scumbag. I don't know how Jeff Flake walks upright. I truly don't. He is, it's amazing to me. He is such a case study in the swamp and swamp fever, and people should take judicial notice of it. Again, I say, as a member of the House, Jeff Flake was great. Liberty Caucus, somebody who advanced conservative and free market-oriented policies, not just voted for him, but actually advanced them. He goes over to the Senate, and his entire skeletal structure collapses. I mean, this is an impersonation of a man, Jeff Flake now. This guy's a joke. And that he guffaws with his buddy Chris Coons about what he wouldn't do if he were running for re-election because his office would have been more important had he been running for re-election. And the reason that he's doing it now is because he's retiring. So had he been running for re-election, you would have seen a very different Jeff Flake over the last several months, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what he would have cared about.
Last night. Right.
And now he's going to walk away to some sinecure after spending nearly 2 decades in Congress and, be referred to with reverence in certain circles. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jeff Flake is exactly the kind of guy that should be ostracized from civil society. Whatever Jeff Flake's position is now, I wouldn't bank on it because if his interests change, so will his position. So they're celebrating Jeff Flake now for supposedly reaching across the aisle or achieving some kind of common ground compromise position. Don't be naive. Scumbag. Slime. He's as disgusting as any of those on the left because you expect it from them. More disgusting.
And everyone said he changed his mind because of the woman who confronted him in the elevator.
What you are doing is allowing someone who actually violated a woman to sit in the Supreme Court. This is not tolerable.
And Jeff Flake couldn't muster the courage to respond to somebody screaming in his face because he is pathetic.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting, but he didn't even show compassion. I mean, he looked paralyzed with fear, like, oh boy. I mean, he wasn't even human. Just say, you know what, I am sorry that happened to you. Every case is different. I hope you don't relive the trauma, what happened to you, because we're going through this right now under a different set of circumstances.
Jeff Flake is atrophying before our very eyes. Weak doesn't properly describe him. By the way, that woman in the elevator, Anne Marie Archila.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. She's being hailed a hero by ABC News.
Of course she is. Turns out she's the Center for Popular Democracy is where she works. And she is the co-executive director of that operation and the Center for Popular Democracy Action Fund, which is heavily funded by George Soros.
Oh.
But lest anybody take with any consideration Brett Kavanaugh suggesting that this is an orchestrated political assassination by the left. No, of course not.
I wonder if she had to take a day off of work to go there, if they paid for her travel to get to D.C.
Bob and Glen Ellen, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing that you guys didn't bring up about what they can do to him to further destroy this innocent man. they can, after they get him off the 2 courts, they can disbar him.
That's true.
And then as far as Ford's credibility that everyone keeps talking about, Bernie Madoff was also very credible when he had the suckers in his office right before he took all of their life savings, too. Mm-hmm. So credibility without evidence is really, nothing to, glom onto. So
Thanks for the call, Bob. Yeah, the ABA and the ACLU will sign on to Brett Kavanaugh's disbarment. You can be certain. Chris in Woodstock.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I just wanted to say, what makes Christine Blasey Ford so credible? I thought facts make a story credible. I thought facts make a person credible. Just the point that she got up there and told a story that instantly makes her credible, I really don't get it.
Well, it also instantly made her a millionaire. She has now more than $1 million on her GoFundMe page.
Yes.
Which she can use at her discretion. She could send her kids to college now. She doesn't have to worry about another bill in her life. Oh, my God. She won the lotto.
Amy, I called you last week, and I said that I thought her crime was fake, and you totally dismissed it right away. Why don't we get professionals to analyze her voice as she's speaking? There's ways to find out if she's really in distress or not.
Well, I believe
honestly
something
believe
happened
this woman. This woman is completely. Come on, look at her past. Look at why are we so focused on Kavanaugh's past? Don't we also have to look at her past?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of high school life did she have? What kind of college life did she have? How many sexual partners did she have?
Well,
that'll come up.
No, I mean,
okay, all right, I got it. Thanks for the call, Chris.
I mean, won't FBI ask about her past? I mean, it's fair if they ask about Kavanaugh's past.
The credibility of her story, the ability to corroborate her story. That's the basis of the investigation. It should be. Does her story check out? The things that she said, do they check out? Are they in conflict with other things that she said or evidence of things that she's done? Those are the questions, or that's the sort of framework for questioning.
And what we learned from the hearing is she wants Mark Judge to be interviewed by the FBI so she could try and figure out her own timeline. Because remember, she saw him at the Safeway, and she said, well, if I could figure out what summer he worked at the Safeway, and then maybe I can figure out when I was assaulted.
Right. We'll see if the Safeway has employment records from 35 years ago. Mark Judge has said he's going to cooperate, so we'll see what comes of Mark Judge's interview. Verlon on the South Side.
Well, Dan, I want to thank you for a couple of things. Now I see that I experienced black privilege, and I am so proud for the first time in my life to be black. I couldn't be a white guy in this society today because no matter how hard you work and no matter what you accomplish, they can tear you down in an instant. So now I see my black privilege, and all I want to tell you, Dan, is to try to have a nice day.
All right, thanks for the call, Verlon.
I think he was being sarcastic.
Bob in Schaumburg. Hey, Bob.
Yes, good morning, Dan.
Morning.
Amy. I was wondering if the people that are convicting Kavanaugh in the court of public opinion have any recollection of the Emmett Till case where Carolyn Bryant accused Till of rape and then recanted about 50 years later?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call, Bob. I mean, right. There are certainly cases of false accusations. There are cases of people being mistaken. There's, a case for every contingency under the sun. And so the question is, well, so to the left's point would be exactly. And so now this extra week gives the FBI a chance to flesh out the competing stories. And so that's great, isn't it? And that's the question to you. Jeff Flake, as pathetic a figure as he is this a net benefit? Does this ultimately make sense regardless of who orchestrated it? Because it will be helpful in us getting to the truth. Do you believe that? 312-642-5600.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
The players are fired up. The coaches are prepared for battle. The student section is rumbling. The band is ready to rock. And you're ready for victory.
Touchdown, Northern Illinois!
Every game, every victory is right here on the Husky Sports Network.
The Huskies take on the Ball State Cardinals this Saturday afternoon at 2 NIU football is on AM 560. The Answer.
Imagine your son after a year of college. What kind of man do you hope to see? A man fully alive and committed to making good choices and doing the right thing because they are right and because he's strong enough. Northridge Prep in Niles builds that kind of man. At an open house on Sunday, October 21st, see for yourself what makes Northridge Prep the #1 all-boys school 3 years running and the 4th best Catholic school in Illinois. Their academically rigorous curriculum celebrates the adventure of boyhood. Hall Fests, the Superfans, jousting tournaments, and more make it a good place to be a boy. Northridge Prep is an independent school for boys, grades 6 through 12. They produce men with the ability to think for themselves. Graduates go to the best universities, including the Ivy League, and also the best universities. Every teacher is a role model, and 50% of faculty attended a top 20 university. Don't miss Northridge Prep's open house on Sunday, October 21st. Learn more and register online at northridgeprep.org. That's northridgeprep.org.
Attention homeowners! Do you need cash to consolidate high-interest credit card payments or pay college tuition? Looking to finance home improvements without paying out of pocket? You've worked hard building up the equity in your home, and Total Mortgage can help you access it at some of the lowest available interest rates. If you are current on your mortgage payments but struggling with other debts, you need to call Total Mortgage right now at 1-800-400-7215. You can have the money you need in as little as 7 business days. Best of all, we'll consider every request, regardless of your credit score. Again, homeowners can now get cash for any reason, like paying off high-interest credit card debt, college tuition, or even home improvements. This Quick Cash for Homeowners program may only be available for a limited time. To find out for free how much cash you qualify for, call today. 1-800-400-7215. That's 1-800-400-7215. 1-800-400-7215. Total Mortgage Services, LLC is an equal housing lender. NMLS number 2764. Not available in all states. Additional restrictions may apply. Offers subject to eligibility. Not all who call will qualify. Call for terms and conditions.
I'm pretty handy around the house, but now that I have kids, I don't want to spend my Saturday installing a toilet or fixing an air conditioner. But thankfully, there's HomeAdvisor. HomeAdvisor helps me find the best home pros in my area to handle any kind of project. You can read reviews of the pros, check their availability, and even book appointments online. And what my wife loves most is that HomeAdvisor is completely free to use.
Go to HomeAdvisor.com or download the free app to get started.
HomeAdvisor. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I feel wonderful. I mean, a while ago, I was walking and my whole left side went tingly, and I don't know what happened. I've had the after effects of that in my hands and my legs, and I've noticed that since I've taken the fruits and veggies, I don't have that anymore. So that is one thing that I am very, very pleased with. I don't feel any of that tingly sensation in my foot. It's like my nerves are getting healed or something. It's just wonderful. I love this. I'm very, very impressed with this product.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560. The Answer.
Your girlfriend, Ariana Grande.
What about her?
I think you kind of have a crush on her because every time, I play the song, you perk up a little.
No Tears Left to Cry.
Yeah. See, you know the words. You know the lyrics.
I do like this song. I have a difficult time distinguishing her from Sia and
she's a shorter one.
And Zed.
Who's
and
Zed?
Like Clarity. Do you know that song Clarity? Yeah, well, you're not
Are you
down with it.
cheating on Ariana Grande?
They all sort of sound the same, but Ariana Grande does have a great voice.
Yeah, she
that's
does.
a cool song.
And it's not just, a menu item at Taco Bell. Remember Ariana Grande?
Yeah,
when they said,
I remember.
But anyway, so her fiance, Pete Davidson, who's I think 21 or 22 years old.
Didn't that get postponed because her rapper ex-boyfriend got killed?
No, she's going ahead with the wedding plans. And we always talked about a prenup, and they brought that up on Saturday Night Live.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, can I ask, what's the prenup situation?
Well, obviously, I wanted one, so God forbid we split up and she takes half my sneakers. No, look, I'm totally comfortable being with a successful woman. I think it's dope. I live at her place, She pays like 60 grand for rent, and all I have to do is stock the fridge. Yeah.
Well, the man doesn't always have to be the breadwinner in a relationship.
Right, Colin? He does not. Yeah, last night I switched her birth control with Tic Tacs. No, I believe in us and all. But, I just want to, make sure.
How long do you think it's going to last? Or you said they won't even make it to the altar.
You mean his time on SNL? I don't think it's going to last very much longer. You have to be funny. Well, actually, you don't on SNL, so maybe it will last. I give that as much time as Elizabeth Taylor and Larry Fortensky.
Oh, nice. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll pick up our discussion of Kavanaugh as well as the midterm elections with John Fund from National Review at 7:37.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
58 degrees at 7:31. 2 men are dead, 3 others wounded. Follows a shooting and crash near Chicago's South Loop. Chicago police tell us 5 men were traveling in a vehicle late last night when gunfire erupted inside of the car, slammed into a pole, and then flipped over in the 500 block of South Michigan Avenue. There's a new agreement covering trade among the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. It's a victory for the Trump administration as U.S. and Canadian negotiators came to terms just before a midnight deadline. There will be a press conference later this morning. Recovery teams are burying the dead from last week's earthquake and tsunami in Indonesia in mass graves. 844 killed so far in that natural disaster that devastated the island of Sulawesi. 4 days after the earthquake and tsunami hit, rescue and recovery teams are still not able to get to many areas. People in Allentown, Pennsylvania are struggling to make sense of a deadly car explosion that killed at least 3 this weekend. The shelter has been set up for those displaced by the destruction Saturday night. Authorities say they believe the person responsible for the blast is among the killed. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says they are not micromanaging the FBI investigation process into Brett Kavanaugh.
The Senate is dictating the terms. They laid out the request, and we've opened it up. And as you heard the president say, do what you need to do.
Meantime, on Fox News Sunday, Sanders said the Senate is dictating terms, while Senator Tom Cotton says Democrats have turned advice and consent, the process, as looking into a judiciary candidate, into a search and destroy mission.
Democrats have disgraced this process in the United States Senate in the orchestrated smear campaign of character assassination they've run against Judge Kavanaugh.
That on CBS's Face the Nation. The murder trial of Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke continues later today. The Cubs host the Brewers today in a 1-game playoff at Wrigley Field. It's not for the playoffs. It's actually for the National League Central title. The winner will be the top seed in the NL. The loser will face the Dodgers or Rockies in the NL Wild Card Series. More union hotel workers in Chicago going back to work after more than 3 weeks on strike. Employees at 4 Hilton hotels have ratified an agreement. Mitchell Trubisky 6 touchdowns through the air. Bears dominate the Bucs 48-10 at Soldier Field. White Sox wrap up the baseball season with a 5-4 road loss to the Twins, and the Bulls were NBA preseason winners over the Pelicans. The news, a service of UPSJobs.com. What is future you doing right now? You could be working for UPS as a part-time package handler, now hiring in Hodgkins. Plus, receive tuition assistance from the UPS Earn and Learn program. Apply now at UPSJobs.com. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains the downfall of our society.
A man who was led an exemplary life is accused of groping a girl in high school, and it's derailing his nomination to the Supreme Court. And I am not supposed to think my society is sick, but it doesn't matter to the left. The left is a moral fraud.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Do you believe Springfield works for us? Sean Thompson from Elmwood Park doesn't.
Nobody represents me, and nobody represents you. They represent themselves.
Ann Peterson from West Chicago isn't getting her money's worth out of Springfield.
I don't believe that we're getting additional value for the additional taxes that we're paying.
Your property taxes go up, your home value goes down. Politicians waste your money. The government takes your home. Rich, poor, Republican, Democrat, we're all the same when it comes to property taxes. Gino Fioravanti of River Forest is leaving Illinois because of high taxes.
We're not going to be living in Illinois anymore, and it's due to the property taxes. They've just gotten out of control.
It's bipartisan failure.
You either force politicians who oppose property tax caps out of office, or they force you out of Illinois. A group of independent property tax reform candidates are running to save your home. Go to SaveYourHomeNow.org to take up their fight just as they have taken up yours. You stay. The politicians go, because they're the ones who suck. SaveYourHomeNow.org.
Liberty Principles paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
It's a fact. Workman's compensation is a mandated and burdensome expense for businesses. You've heard business owners on this station discuss the impact of workers' comp on their bottom line. This burden continues to grow every year. It's important that your company identify the risks you face and do everything possible to minimize your exposure and expense. For over 3 decades, Marty Spiegel and Miles Cahill, recent AM 560 Food for the Poor business benefactors, have effectively defended workers' comp cases on behalf of businesses and insurance companies in both Illinois and Indiana. All of the attorneys at Spiegel and Cahill understand and are sympathetic to the real burden your company faces. They excel at helping you identify and minimize your risks. The Spiegel-Cahill team is committed to being responsive and managing all of your workers' comp costs. To learn more or request a no-obligation workman's comp consultation, call Spiegel and Cahill at 630-455-4070, 630-455-4070, or visit defendingbusinesses.com. That's defendingbusinesses.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas. Great coffee, period.
7:37 and a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
The inbound Edens is jammed. Peterson to Montrose, 32 minutes. Lake Cook Junction, outbound 28. Kennedy, an hour and 15 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 40 minutes from Montrose. 42 in the Express, outbound 54 to the airport. Eisenhower, 58 minutes. 390 to downtown, 42 from Manheim, outbound an hour and 2 minutes to 390. Stevenson, 58 minutes. 355 to the drive, outbound 40. Ryan, 30 minutes. 95th to downtown. Southbound Tri-States, though, 120 to Bradley. Northbound 95th to 47th, and from the Reagan to Lawrence. Reagan Tollway, slow Naperville Road to 355. Northbound Veterans Memorial, 75th to the Reagan Tollway. Southbound 53 has roadwork delays from Palatine Road to Higgins. That's traffic. I'm Chip Talamonte from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1-hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, a warmer day ahead. Sprinkles this morning, clouds and sun this afternoon, high 74, a shower or thunderstorm overnight, low 64. 58 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by On Target Radio. From firearms and Second Amendment rights to personal freedoms and government intrusions. Listen here Sunday nights at 9.
That's that. Yeah, see? Justin Kosick and I, a couple of millennials on the scene, we're totally on the same wavelength here.
You guys skateboard to work every day in your skinny jeans and your man buns.
Yeah. We shred. That's right.
Shred. Oh, yeah, that's what it's called, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know that.
If you knew if you were part of the crew, along with me and Justin and Squee and Hansy Hank, then you know what the lingo is. Amid the revelations in the last 72 hours with respect to the Kavanaugh saga, Kellyanne Conway on with Jake Tapper, State of the Union program on CNN, and she, along with the president she serves, they're not backing down an inch when it comes to Kavanaugh.
I feel very empathetic, frankly, for victims of sexual assault and sexual harassment and rape. That I'm a victim of sexual assault. I don't expect Judge Kavanaugh or Jake Tapper or Jeff Flake or anybody to be held responsible for that. You have to be responsible for your own conduct. This is not Bill Cosby. Those comparisons on your network are a disgrace, and the anchor should have called them out. This is not even Bill Clinton. You have Senate Judiciary Committee members who refused to remove Bill Clinton from office after he received oral sex in the Oval Office and lied about it to a grand jury as President of the United States. The hypocrisy is ridiculous.
And clearly Jake Tapper was taken back by what she just, the revelation that she made.
As a survivor of this, and again, I'm deeply, personally, very sorry about whatever pain you've gone through.
Thank you.
But does that not make you think, when you hear somebody like Professor Ford or other people make allegations, does that not make you think these women need to be heard? And even if there are not corroborating witnesses, that is not absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Jake, they should all be heard, and they should be heard in courts of law. They should be heard in depositions. They should be heard in proceedings. Those who can prosecute, those who have civil and or criminal causes of action should pursue that. But we do treat people differently who are either the victims or the perpetrators of this based on their politics now and based on their gender. That is a huge mistake. America, it's a huge mistake. Don't make the mistake. You want to have the same kind of conversation with your daughter that you have with your son. And I don't mean to get so personal to Jen and you, but I want everybody asking me, what do you think of your daughters? How do you talk to your daughters? How do I talk to my almost 14-year-old son? This is Judge Kavanaugh now.
How do you
Excuse me, but this is Judge Kavanaugh now. It could be anybody by next week. Respectfully, it could be any man in any position.
Yeah, and specifically men in position of power. An accusation could be leveled at you're toast. There's no more due process.
Yeah, and Andy McCarthy over at National Review suggests that Jeff Flake and his pal Chris Coons gave the Democrats exactly what they wanted, in the White House, I guess, by extension, for conceding the point. It doesn't matter what sheep's clothing the wolf comes in. The wolf is always delay, writes McCarthy. When they say we're protecting survivors, they mean we want delay. When they posture that women must be believed, their aim is more delay. When they say the FBI must investigate to remove any cloud over the nominee, the translation is give us a delay so we can come up with new reasons for delay. This is all delay, 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 pushing it closer and closer to the midterms, potentially upending the president's ability to get a conservative jurist nominated if the balance of power were to change and the delay would be extended long enough. For more on this topic and whether or not he agrees with his National Review colleague, we're pleased to be joined by John Fund, columnist for National Review. John, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Does Andy McCarthy have it sussed out properly?
Look, this is obviously a wrenching time for almost everyone, those who have suffered sexual assault and those who have been accused of it. But we've got to remember the facts matter. And I urge every one of your listeners to read the 5-page memo that Rachel Mitchell, who was the special counsel for the committee, wrote yesterday about Dr. Ford's testimony. If you want to find it, you can just go to my Twitter feed at John Fund and scroll down just a little bit and you'll find it. Read it and ask yourself not whether or not you believe Dr. Ford, but whether or not this is enough to sink Brett Kavanaugh. And the memo is devastating in terms of the inconsistencies, the lapses, the holes in the story. It doesn't say Dr. Ford didn't tell the truth. It just says, wow, there's a lot here that I could never go forward with this case in court because it really is just he said, she said, period.
Well, there's some questions that I thought Rachel Mitchell should have asked that she didn't. What was your take on her job performance?
Well, she was circumscribed by the refusal of certain people on the committee to break outside of the 5-minute rule, which is you have to go 5 minutes and then the other side gets 5 minutes, etc. She took all of the information available, whether or not she was able to draw it out of the hearing. She took it from Dr. Ford's statements, from other things. And the memo is worth reading because you cannot read that memo and say, wow, we have a clear picture of what happened.
Right, but she is also, a Republican, and the Democrats are going to point that out when reading that memo.
Of course they will. And so everyone who said on the committee that they believed Dr. Ford was automatically was a Democrat. Of course, you have to look at the origins of the statement, but facts are facts. And she has 25 years of experience prosecuting sex criminals, and her analysis is not a political analysis; it's a legal analysis. So, of course, you pay attention to who wrote something, but you should also pay attention to what they wrote and the facts they present.
And so, given her review, as you suggest, and the quality of the case per her assessment, per Mitchell's assessment of what Ms. Ford presented, then are Republicans right to concede to the left and extend this for up to another week?
I think the delay, of course, is all political. But if it helps certain people have more confidence in the outcome and that there wasn't a rush to judgment, extending the FBI investigation for a few days is not the end of the world by and of itself. However, we're already hearing that that's not enough.
Of course.
But here's the other thing. The left is just about ready. As soon as the FBI finishes its work, they have two new demands. One is that the FBI agents be forced to testify about their work in open hearings. That has never happened before. FBI agents don't answer questions about the work that they do. Two, that the FBI director, Christopher Wray, is already compromised because guess what? He went to Yale and Yale Law School with Brett Kavanaugh, and they both were members of the Federalist Society there. So there's an obvious conflict of interest, and we can't believe anything the FBI says. This is a trap. This is a catch-22. The people who want the FBI investigation, on one level, of course, it's a perfectly reasonable expectation. On the other level, they're already undermining the FBI and saying we're not going to believe anything you come up with.
Right.
We don't like it.
And so when do Republicans say, understand something? The left is not interested in the truth whatsoever. There is always going to be a demand after the fact, even after agreement, like there is, as you're predicting, when the FBI concludes its latest round of investigation. Nothing is ever going to be good enough. And so when do Republicans just say, look, we're calling the question, vote your shares, and we're going to be done with it? And if that means Jeff Flake and Susan Collins and Murkowski want to tube Kavanaugh's nomination and really ratchet up our politics, then go ahead and do it and put them in the crucible for a change rather than Kavanaugh in the crucible.
Well, that's easier said than done, given that we have a midterm election just over a month away.
Yeah.
Defeat for Brett Kavanaugh under any circumstances depresses the Republican voter turnout dramatically. And, I mean, the whole look, if you look at the political motives of the people who are behind the scenes in this, it's not just about sinking Brett Kavanaugh. It's about making the entire midterm election.
Yes.
People are already voting in many states. It's about making the entire midterm election about only one issue. Do you believe Dr. Ford, or are you a blue meanie who supports sexual assault assailants?
Right. And so if you can push this off until November 7th, what's that going to do to turnout?
It means the entire election is not about foreign policy, the economy, or anything else. It's about Brett Kavanaugh and whether or not he was a sexual assailant.
Well, what about his judicial temperament? I mean, they're saying the integrity of the bench. Is that a concern for Chief Justice Roberts?
Oh, my gosh.
You know, I never noticed people saying that Ruth Bader Ginsburg lacked judicial temperament when she attacked President Trump, saying he was unfit to be president, and saying, I wish I could move to New Zealand, accept him on the Supreme Court. That was an outrageous injection of politics and bad temperament into the political process. I don't remember anyone saying that Judge Ginsburg lacked judicial temperament because she blatantly made a political statement about who should win the 2016 election from the Supreme Court bench.
Yeah, I mean,
good point.
you know, but I got to go back again. So if the left's point is to make the entire midterm election about this issue, then doesn't that demand that Mitch McConnell and everybody else push this to culmination post haste?
Well, an agreement was reached that the FBI is going to talk to people this week, and that agreement should be honored, and then you should vote.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's where we're at, I suppose. How do you think that the Republicans, the leadership, the president have afforded themselves in response to the left's transparent tactics, at least if you're a close observer of how the Beltway politics works?
Well, President Trump has exercised remarkable and unusual restraint. I wish that he would have kept silent even more because he simply polarizes the entire issue. I thought that the Republicans were stuck in a hard place. I mean, when you have 11 Republican members, all male, they couldn't possibly have that scene play out on national television, so they had to hire someone like Rachel Mitchell. It was an awkward hearing, but at least it gave the victim someone to talk to and a national platform to talk to. And then, of course, the other accusers. I have to tell you, I don't want to draw conclusions, but their cases are far, far weaker than Dr. Ford's, and I think there's a reason why they weren't that eager to have a national testimony play out when they were telling their story.
He is John Fund, columnist for National Review. Most recent piece, Kavanaugh Debate, is exactly why our founders thought early voting was a bad idea. Check it out at nationalreview.com. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
Hey, Turnkey IT knows that computer networks and all things IT are the vital heartbeat of any company. However, keeping up with hardware, software, to hiring and managing IT staff can be a nightmare. But there is a different solution. Now your business can have a full-time IT department for only $795 a month. That's what Turnkey IT's all-in small business packages for. You get world-class help desk, on-site and remote support, monitoring of network resources, 365 hosting, cloud backup, antivirus, and so much more, plus new hardware every 4 years. Hey, where can you hire a reliable and highly capable employee for less than $10K per year? You don't have to with Turnkey IT. From one person to 200 employees, it's easy and affordable with Turnkey IT. Hey, you run your business. They'll handle the technical stuff. Visit turnkey.pro today. That's turnkey.pro.
Smartphones, smart cars, smart thermostats, smart security systems. It's like our everyday items are getting, smarter than us. Take your home to the next level with custom smart window coverings from 1-800-4BLIND-CHICAGO. With the touch of your finger on your smartphone or the sound of your voice with your Alexa device, you can create the right lighting and ambiance in every room. Give your home an easy and affordable makeover. 1-800-4BLIND-CHICAGO knows window coverings. They know blinds, shades, shutters, and precise installation. But they really know how to make your family home a comfortable place and for a lot less than you'd expect for custom window coverings. New blinds or shades can help with heat reduction, privacy, and make you fall in love with your home all over again. With an in-house installation crew, you can count on a personal touch and quality custom blinds with 1-800-4BLIND-CHICAGO. Connect directly at 1-800-4BLIND-CHICAGO.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Ryan Siebert, CEO of SG Homebuilders and a customer of Signature Bank. Over the last 10 years, my business pivoted multiple times to adjust to the fluctuations in the Chicago real estate market. Signature Bank's partnership with us and their ability to adapt to changes has allowed us to become a leading custom home builder. Signature Bank is a relationship-based business bank right here in Chicago, providing services and advice that address our unique situation, and they serve as a trusted consultant on what works best for my business. Signature Bank helped us build SG Homebuilders while we were busy building dream homes for our clients.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
It's a great product. And the one thing I like about it the most is that when you open the bottles, you can smell like the scent of the fruits and veggies. It's no genius thing to it. It's really just fruits and veggies, which everyone needs. And you guys kind of put it in a way where you can take it easy and you can get it, and it's natural, and that's what I like about it. I like the product, and I've taken it, and it's definitely made me feel a lot better. I'm a healthy person to begin with, but it's definitely good prevention, and it's definitely gives me energy, and I feel like it's a natural thing. I like it. I really do.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Opportunity Project, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, I just wanted to point up some of the other takeaways from the Mitchell memo. Rachel Mitchell's memo that we were discussing with John Fund from National Review a moment ago. Mm-hmm. In that memo, she concludes a number of things. She said that, quote, the activities of congressional Democrats and Dr. Ford's attorneys likely affected Dr. Ford's account. Among the things that she was able to get established on the record is that DiFi, Senator Feinstein and her office, working to line up counsel for Ford in the form of Attorney Katz, while she was not disclosing anything going on to the rest of the Senate Judiciary Committee. That's a bit curious. She also writes, does Mitchell, there's no clear standard of proof for allegations made during the Senate's confirmation process, but the world in which I work is the legal world, not the political one. Thus, I can only make my assessment of Dr. Ford's allegations in a legal context. She said that, of course, the he said, she said nature of the case is difficult to prove, but she goes on to say that, there are some problems here. Ford has not offered a consistent account of when the alleged assault happened, things that we've talked about. Ford has struggled to identify Kavanaugh as the assailant by name. When speaking with her husband, Dr. Ford changed her description of the incident to become less specific. Dr. Ford has no memory of key details of the night in question, details that could help corroborate her account. And it's interesting, the only details she remembers are those that seem to incriminate Kavanaugh, right?
Correct.
Dr. Ford's account of the alleged assault has not been corroborated to anyone she identified as having attended, including her lifelong friend. That would be Ms. Kaiser. Dr. Ford has not offered a consistent account of the alleged attack. Her account of who was at the party has been inconsistent. So, just under those headings, she provides details based on what Dr. Ford actually said at that hearing that are relevant. So I would echo John Fund's suggestion that anybody who wants to take a independent, thoughtful look at what's been presented, go read Mitchell's 5-page memo.
Right. And also, too, the second accuser who was interviewed by FBI last night, remember, she had to spend 6 days with her attorney to try and remember whether or not it was him. at Yale in that dorm room.
And that's not even getting into the third accuser.
No. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Rahin Salam on at 8:08 on the melting pot or the Civil War immigration policy.
It's 8 a.m. Time for Fox News.
Congratulations, Mexico and Canada. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump tweeted after the U.S. and Canada worked out a deal just before midnight, joining Mexico in an agreement to replace NAFTA, which the president has called a job-killing disaster. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
White House trade advisor Peter Navarro touting the trade deal reached with Canada that revamps the North American Free Trade Agreement.
If you're an auto worker, you're going to have better prospects for jobs and your wages are going to go up faster. If you're a chicken farmer, you'll be better off.
The deal allows U.S. farmers greater access to Canada's dairy market and also addresses concerns about potential U.S. auto tariffs. President Trump in a tweet praised the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement as a great deal for all three countries. A formal vote in Congress won't be held until 2019, and it's still unclear whether lawmakers will support the deal. Dave?
John, the FBI has interviewed Brett Kavanaugh's second accuser, Deborah Ramirez, who claims the Supreme Court nominee exposed himself to her students at Yale. He denies all the allegations against him. Republican Senator Jeff Flake told CBS 60 Minutes.
This is ripping our country apart.
He led the move to delay the Kavanaugh vote for a week-long FBI investigation, but some Democrats say it could be a farce, too limited. The court's new term starts this morning with an empty seat. In West Virginia, the trial starts this hour in the state Senate for the first of 4 state Supreme Court justices impeached in a scandal over abusing their authority and spending in office renovations. It's just before dawn in Las Vegas. When the day breaks later this hour, they'll release 58 doves into the sky, remembering all those murdered 1 year ago in a shooting spree onto a concert below. More than 800 others were injured, including Natalie Grumet, who was shot in the face.
Still have a lot of pain, and it's been a hard journey with all the surgeries and reconstruction.
1 year later, it's still a mystery why Stephen Paddock went on his rampage. The last shot he fired killed himself. Fox News. Farron Bell.
Gray skies, 58 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Here are the stories we are following this morning on WIND Chicago. 2 men are dead, 3 others wounded following a shooting and crash near the South Loop. Chicago police say 5 men were traveling in a car late last night when gunfire erupted inside of the car. It then slammed into a pole and flipped over in the 500 block of South Michigan Avenue. The murder trial of Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke continues today. It's not known this week whether Van Dyke will take the stand. Cubs and Brewers in a 1-game playoff at Wrigley Field. Not for entry into the playoffs. It's actually to determine the National League Central title. Tiebreaker game is scheduled for 12:05. The winner will be the top seed in the NL. The loser takes on the Dodgers or Rockies in their own game 163. The loser takes on either one of those two teams in the National League Wildcard Series. Chicago police are looking for the person who shot and killed an elderly man in the Rogers Park neighborhood. Alderman Joe Moore says investigators are right now searching for surveillance footage.
Leads, and hopefully we can have enough information to apprehend the person who did this horrible deed.
Police are combing a crime scene in south suburban Dixmoor. Authorities say Darrell Webb was found shot to death inside of a home near 146th and 11th. Mitchell Trubisky, 6 touchdowns, 350-plus yards through the air. Bears dominate the Buccaneers 48-10 at Soldier Field. White Sox wrap up the baseball season with a 5-4 road loss to the Twins. It's 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. And from the Fox Business Network, here is Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, stocks are rallying after the U.S. and Canada confirmed they've reached a new trade deal. The United States-Mexico-Canada agreement will replace the 1994 NAFTA deal. Some corporate changes announced this morning. General Electric CEO John Flannery will be replaced by Larry Culp, a veteran executive who previously ran Danaher and joined GE's board earlier this year. And Pfizer CEO Ian Reed says he will step down at the start of next year and will be replaced by another Pfizer executive. Tesla shares are rallying before the market open, up more than 11%, $46 a share. after the company settled with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The SEC said Elon Musk's tweet claiming he had financing to take the company private was false and misleading. The Dow was up 18 on Friday. NASDAQ gained 4. S&P closed flat. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
8:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Don't miss Freedom Summit 2018 on Saturday, October 27th. Presented by Geiger Wealth Management, Chicago's retirement planning experts. This year, featuring headline speakers, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark and James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Also appearing, AM 560's Mike Gallagher, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Joe Walsh. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Chicagoland Waterproofing and by Tom Miraboli, independent agent for Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Do you believe Springfield works for us? Sean Thompson from Elmwood Park doesn't.
Nobody represents me, and nobody represents you. They represent themselves.
And Susan Michaud from Wheaton's home values are suffering for it.
Our property values are going down because our taxes keep going up.
Your property taxes go up, your home value goes down. The government takes your home. Rich, poor, Republican, Democrat, we're all the same when it comes to property taxes. Gino Fiore-Avanti of River Forest is leaving Illinois because of high taxes.
We're not going to be living in Illinois anymore, and it's due to the property taxes.
Sean Thompson blames both sides.
It's bipartisan failure.
You either force politicians who oppose property tax caps out of office, or they force you out of Illinois. A group of independent property tax reform candidates are running to save your home and our state now. Go to SaveYourHomeNow.org to take up their fight just as they have taken up yours. You stay. The politicians go, because they're the ones who suck. SaveYourHomeNow.org.
Liberty Principles paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
When it's too cold for camping, we go camping. When it's too hot to work, we work. The John Deere Gator XUV 835 comes with game-changing heat and AC and 3 wide seating, so it's never too anything for anything. Nothing runs like the Strong, and nothing runs like a Deere. Visit your John Deere dealer to test drive today. Get $400 off the Gator XUV 835M at participating John Deere dealers, now through October 26, 2018. See your dealer for details.
To experience relief from muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. This non-greasy foam is proven to relieve muscle cramps fast and reduce muscle soreness. TheraWorks Relief can also prevent muscle cramps before they start, so you can get a full night's sleep without having to worry about muscle cramps. TheraWorks Relief only takes minutes to apply, absorbs quickly, and it works. TheraWorks Relief is a life-changing product, and you don't even need a prescription. Get TheraWorks Relief today in the pain relief aisle at Walmart, CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens pharmacies, or TheraWorksRelief.com.
It is 8:07. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Veterans Memorial Tollway northbound. Traffic is jammed Southwest Highway to Bruce Road after a crash. Farther north, see delays out to St. Charles and Army Trail 290. Tri-State southbound at Stop and Go 21, 137 with crash to the left shoulder at Oakton to Irving Park. Northbound 95th to 31st after the Reagan to Lawrence. Reagan to delays 59 to 355 in York to the Tri-State. Needham's 32 minutes. Lake Cook to Junction. Kennedy, an hour and 15 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. Heavier in the Express. Eisenhower, 58 minutes, 390 to the Circle. Stevenson, 58 minutes, 355 to the Drive. Ryan, 30, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 33 minutes, 8094 to the Merge. It's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte. From the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center and meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Clouds and some sunshine, a little bit warmer this afternoon, the high 74. Overcast tonight, shower and thunderstorm, low 64. Morning showers tomorrow, then cloudy, the high tomorrow at 70. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
58 degrees at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't forget that you can watch Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Did you see Lindsay Lohan get the sentimentality slapped right out of her? This is great because it's exactly such an example of the left's emotion sans reason, facts, reflection. Lindsay Lohan is in Russia, and she sees a Pakistani family that it was a Pakistani or Syrian. I think it was Pakistani.
I'll find out.
A Pakistani family, and she wants to save the children from their parents.
Maybe they don't want to be saved from their parents. Maybe she should mind her own business.
No, it's a Syrian refugee family, right?
Okay.
So that would make sense. Syrian refugees. She starts out. She's live streaming this. She starts out by telling everyone, "This is a family I met, a Syrian refugee family here in Russia. I'm really worried about. They really need help." And she starts talking to the children that are with their parents, sort of around their parents, and then following them, and then trying to take the children.
What?
At which point,
Take the children.
Mom says, "I don't think so."
I will walk forever. I stay with you. I don't worry. Is he your son? From Pakistan.
What?
Don't fuck with Pakistan. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. Give me your hand. I'm like in shock right now. And they were trying to run to me, and I'm just like so scared. I literally can't. I don't think I can ever change.
Yeah.
What? And
she apparently tried to grab one of the boys, and then Mom turned around and cold cocked her.
Yeah, get your hands off my children. It's
Right.
not your business. This is not your fight.
This is an example that provides sort of the intellectual basis for the left's immigration policy, which is open borders. If Lindsay Lohan brings them back, then they're good to go. For more on this topic, particularly in the wake of some recent studies, including one from MIT, talk about open borders with Raheen Salam, who's the executive editor of National Review, and he's got a new book on the topic, Melting Pot or Civil War, A Son of Immigrants Makes the Case Against Open Borders. Raheen, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So the case against open borders, this may be particularly prescient ahead of the midterms because at least before Kavanaugh, the number one issue for Republican primary voters was still immigration policy. And last week, MIT released a study that suggests the number of illegal immigrants in the United States is actually twice the number that's more customarily reported. It's not 11 or 12 million, but more like 22 million, according to the MIT research. So since this is a salient issue for a lot of voters, and you have the left making the open borders argument, what kind of argument should conservatives be making?
Well, first I'll say that study has been contested by a lot of folks on the right and the left, so I wouldn't necessarily take it as the gold standard. But the more important point is that Americans, not just Americans on the right, but a lot of Americans in the center, also believe that we must have control over our borders, and they believe a very simple, straightforward idea, which is that our immigration system should serve the national interest and the interests of American workers. And there are some folks on the left who now see that as a crazily unjust and extreme position, and it's part of why this issue has become so contentious. That simple idea that our immigration system should work for us is now treated as some kind of controversial idea.
And so the left's position of abolishing ICE, not only should we have open borders, we should ensure such by eliminating law enforcement associated with it.
You've hit the nail on the head. You don't actually have Democratic politicians openly saying, let's end all immigration controls. What you do have them say is criticizing every single effort to actually enforce our real-world immigration laws and attacking every effort to strengthen those laws so that we don't have a huge number of unauthorized immigrants into the country. And also there's this whole debate about the legal immigration system. There's this idea that having a system that is oriented around our national interest is somehow wrong.
Well, how many, legal immigrants should we take a year? Because the Trump administration has changed that. So what's your opinion?
The refugee number.
The refugee number.
They've changed the refugee number, that's right. So I guess my view is when you look at public opinion, it's only a small minority of people who want to increase immigration. Most people say, let's keep the levels where they are or let's reduce them, but let's make sure that the people who come are able to make a contribution to society. They're not going to depend on safety net benefits in order to survive, in order to lead dignified lives. Let's have a system that selects immigrants on the basis of their skills and contributions. And my own view is that that's a pretty sensible approach. But again, it's become extremely controversial merely to say that we have the right to choose the immigrants we select.
Well, the other way to do this too, or at least to offer into the conversation is, hey, I'm all for people coming here to make a better life for themselves. I'm all for people coming here who are escaping political or religious persecution. That's the difference between America and the rest of the world. So here's the thing. You want to come here and you're intent on making a contribution and making a better life? Great. Just prove it by signing a waiver to any access to welfare state benefits. What would be wrong with that?
There are a lot of folks who've advanced those ideas over the years. In the mid-'90s, we passed legislation that was designed to limit access to benefits. The tricky part comes when these immigrants have children, right? Because the idea is that, look, we might say that you can say, I'm not going to get access to this benefit, but the children are invariably going to get access to the benefits because we don't want to see to it that those kids grow up without, the basics, without access to public education, without access to the food they need and what have you. So that's why I think that when conservatives make that argument, let's open the borders, but just make sure that they don't have access to the safety net, I don't think that usually works because 5-10 years later, that agreement breaks down.
Well, wait a second. Public schools are not the welfare state. I mean, I think you can distinguish public schools from the welfare state, number one. Number two, nobody gets denied access to an emergency room if they have a health care emergency. But you're
68.
But you're also you're allowing people in on the predicate that they're waiving off these benefits, so they're legal residents that don't have any entitlement to entitlements. It seems to me that you could, draw bright lines around that.
Well, unfortunately, we've tried to draw bright lines around that, and it never actually works. That's why there are a lot of folks, including President Trump, including Senator Tom Cotton, who said we need to select immigrants in part on the basis of whether or not they can support themselves. Rather than admitting immigrants who can't support themselves, they might sign this waiver, but in the end, what's going to happen is that agreement is going to break down. Mm-hmm. That's what happened in the 90s. That's what's going to happen in the future. When you have very poor people in the country, people do not want to see them go hungry. That's why you need to control the system from the get-go, from the beginning, and say we're going to select people who can support themselves.
And open borders, you wrote in your book, tend to stir resentment from taxpayers, correct?
That is 100% correct. And not just from taxpayers, but also from earlier immigrants who feel as though, hey, wait a second, we are now the ones who are facing this new competition. We're the ones who are facing new competition also for access to benefits in some cases. They might want to reunite with their families, but the tricky part is when you have completely open borders and drastic increases in low-scale immigration, that becomes a big problem for the folks who are already trying to get a foothold, trying to enter the middle class.
I wanted to get your take on this interesting piece in Time magazine. That's not something I routinely say.
No.
Inside the Republican plan to win Hispanic voters in battleground states. And it's a profile on the efforts by Rick Scott in Florida and Martha McSally in Arizona to appeal to Latino voters in states with sizable Latino populations. And sort of pointing out, at least right now, both of their Democrat challengers, an incumbent in Rick Scott's case, an open seat in Martha McSally's case, are underperforming Hillary Clinton's Hispanic voter total from 2016. And I wonder if you think there's a real play for Republicans to flip the script with respect to Latino voters nationally, not just kind of in these specific races in these specific states?
I think there absolutely is. Number one, most Americans, including most Hispanic Americans, want to be addressed as citizens, as folks who are trying to make a living and trying to get ahead, rather than as members of this or that ethnic group. That's why this book is called Melting Pot or Civil War. Most of these folks, they want to be included in the mainstream. They want to be seen as Americans. And when you have the Republican Party speaking to people as Americans and to their interests as Americans, I think that's going to appeal to a lot of people, including a lot of Hispanic Americans.
So then rather than Republicans make a mistake when they start from the premise of the left's identity politics and categorize everybody by these artificial categories, I mean, just based on your sex or your religion or your ethnic heritage, they should be doing quite the opposite to contrast the choice between that balkanized politics of the left and the unifying politics of a melting pot.
That is 100% right, but it's also the case that the right shouldn't get drawn into this rope-a-dope strategy. What happens is that when the left uses identity politics, sometimes people on the right are tempted to use identity politics too. Right. And there are a lot of people who feel as though, look, don't insult my group. I might be open to your voice. I might be open to your perspectives, but just don't try to insult, me on the basis of ethnicity. That's a mistake that some folks make, but I think that the core conservative message that we want a melting pot, we want all Americans to thrive, that message sells.
He is Reihan Salam. He is the author of the book Melting Pot or Civil War, A Son of Immigrants Makes the Case Against Open Borders. You can also catch his work at National Review, where he's the executive editor, nationalreview.com. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the book. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Being successful in business means overcoming enormous obstacles to serve your customers and community. AM 560, The Answer, wants to shine a spotlight on businesses that are thriving. We want to celebrate their success by finding out what makes these businesses unique, successful, and what we can learn from them. We want to know how you built it. Presented by Chicagoland Waterproofing. To tell us how you built it, go to 560theanswer.com/built. That's 560theanswer.com/BUILT. Sponsored by Signature Bank and Ozinga.
Well, I have been raving about MyPillow for years, but I also know a lot of my listeners, our listeners, still aren't sleeping on a MyPillow, Dan. If you sleep well on a different pillow, I recommend you try sleeping on a MyPillow. That's because you can actually move the fill to get the support you need, Dan.
Lindell needs to make one for the hyperbaric chamber in which I sleep.
That's right. And like I've told you, I never wake up with a stiff neck or headache. They're made in America. Washable, dryable, that's huge because usually you have to take your pillow to the cleaners. 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. So go online or call now for this buy one, get one free deal on a premium MyPillow. One for you, another for a loved one, or as a holiday gift. You'll still get 30% off everything else, including the MyPillow mattress toppers, pet beds that my dog Bunky loves, luxury Giza cotton sheets, and much more. If you use the promo code AMY, A-M-Y. So visit MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201 and tell them Amy sent you.
Hey guys, Ken here from the hit podcast Today's Growth, now heard regularly in 18 countries. What percentage of you listening to this commercial often say to yourself, what could I do to make more money, or how can we increase our business? I'm guessing that's most of you. Have you ever heard knock on the door and it'll open? Well, my friends at Income Store have doors you can open that can help you or your family make more money, or doors that lead to an increase in revenue for any business of any size. Income Store has two main doors on their website. These doors lead to over 2,000 revenue-generating ideas and products. Although a few of their products are pricey, 90+% of their growth formulas are delivered free or nearly free. Income Store's growth products and ideas have been publicized and featured on Forbes, Inc., USA Today, and recently the Biography Channel. Could your household or business use a revenue shot in the backside? Are you sick of your checkbook talking back and saying no? If so, you need to knock on the doors of IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
Want your home's furnace to stay safe and reliable? And want to prevent any potential problems before they happen? At your local 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, we recommend an annual furnace inspection and tune-up. Right now, get a $79 furnace tune-up. Call 855-1-HOUR. Because not taking care of your furnace, that's just cold.
Your comfort is just a call away. Call 1-800.
Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Independently owned and operated. Licensed in the respective state or county.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I spent years studying how to make this the best. I didn't make this because I wanted to make a company. Other companies are starting to catch on to this, and I buy every single other product that comes out so I can look at it and see it and test it. And I fear that people will buy some counterfeit and take it for a couple of months and go, oh, it's a bunch of crap. Doesn't work. Don't be fooled. This is the real stuff. We have absolutely the best process, and I can say that because we purchase every single one and check them out.
I took everything that was on the market. Nothing ever worked. Nothing ever worked. And this is the first thing that's really worked.
Nothing can compare with the benefits of Balance of Nature.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, or Uncle Dan, Little Amy, as it is. It's time for Animal Stories. Apologies to Larry Lujak and his family.
Yeah. What do you got for me, boss? Hefe?
How about this? So we need some comic relief, don't we? And who better to provide it these days than California Governor Jerry Brown? Under a bill signed last Thursday by Brown, pets will still be considered community property, but a judge deciding who gets to keep them in a divorce proceeding will have the discretion of weighing such factors as who feeds them, who takes them to the vet on walks, and who protects them. So pets gaining legal status as more than mere property in California courts when mom and dad break up.
So here's the deal.
Yeah.
Guys out there who haven't been taking your dog or cat to the vet, you might want to get on that because those records are going to be admissible in court. I mean, I'd have a great case. Nobody's taking Bunky from me. I'll tell you that. Over my dead body.
That's Hayek.
That's Hayek.
That's Hayek. Even the thought of somebody going to somebody else.
But that's what you have to have records of all, times that you groomed the animal. I'd suggest that. Receipts that you want and purchase the food, because all of that adds up. Having a dog, having a pet is similar to having another child.
So now we're going to have guardian ad litem represent Fido and Patches in courts of law in divorce proceedings.
It's a big deal. Ask any divorce attorney. They'll settle. They'll give up tens of thousands of dollars as long as they can keep their pet.
All right, let's make a notation. This is the intersection of animal stories and why Dan Proft is single.
Yeah,
so
can we get the Dan Proft single?
Yeah. Pick that up.
This is another reason why you're single, because you don't want to have to fight to keep Hayek if something goes bad with your fictitious wife.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
I would sooner emancipate Hayek and let him live on his own.
Then he'd just be hanging around Lake Point Towers in the Ferris wheel at Navy Pier, waiting for a ride.
No, I mean, I'll get him a place there.
Oh. Little special spot on the Sea Dog, too, huh?
Also in California, I know, you're sort of a celebrity. You go to the West Coast sometimes to party.
Sometimes.
With the Hollywood set.
Last time I was there, I literally flew in, went to a party in Westlake, and flew back home.
Exactly. And
it
so
was perfect.
I wanted to apprise you of the new pet that is au courant in L.A. So next time you go out, you bring one. Right?
A little purse dog, those purse dogs?
Nice try. So,
you can stick your cell phone in them?
That's like 2002.
Okay, so what's the big deal?
The Nigerian dwarf goat specifically is what you want to go with.
What is that? A Nigerian? What? I'm going to look this up.
Nigerian dwarf goat, of course.
What?
This is one of the most popular party attendees in L.A. right now. You can actually rent Party Goats L.A., $99 an hour to bring goats to a party or an event.
Oh, they're so cute.
Is that a goat?
My God! Oh, you can
that
get.
That doesn't sound like a Nigerian dwarf goat.
On Est, you can get one for $165 for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. People are bringing these to parties. You're right. This is not fake news.
No, I know. You dress the goat in purple, lace cuff velvet jackets and neck bands and wraps. wrap their horns in brightly colored tape for decoration as well as safety.
Oh,
and then you put your little mayor of Chicago on him and you ride him into the party.
I could see that happening. The whole lollipop gang on these dwarf goats.
Sure.
Oh, spectacular.
One for every Chicago Dem Paul.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The Van Dyke trial resumes today, may go to a jury this week.
Ooh.
Let's do a stop, look, and listen, since I was part of a panel discussion on the topic over the weekend with Mike Flannery on Fox Chicago of where the trial stands and what you think of Van Dyke's guilt or innocence. That's at 8:38.
But first, let's get into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
58 degrees, gray skies. We may see some sun later on this afternoon. President Trump calling the new trade deal a great deal for all three countries. In a series of tweets this morning, the president saying the U.S., Canada, Mexico agreement solves many of the NAFTA deficiencies and mistakes that were made in that first trade agreement. The Southwest U.S. Ready to get drenched by the remnants of Hurricane Rosa over the next couple of days, and heavy winds will blow in first, causing sandstorms, especially in Arizona. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says the White House will not micromanage the FBI investigation process into Brett Kavanaugh.
The Senate is dictating the terms. They laid out the request, and we've opened it up. And as you heard the president say, do what you need to do.
Meantime, Senator Lindsey Graham is going to call for a full-scale investigation into what he's now calling a despicable process.
We will investigate who in Dianne Feinstein's office referred Dr. Ford to Ms. Katz. That's illegal, inappropriate in the Senate.
ABC's This Week says the South Carolina Republican is also charging that they will look into who betrayed Christine Ford's trust and why she wasn't aware the committee was willing to go to California to meet with her. Scientists from the U.S. and Japan, winners of the Nobel Prize for Medicine today. The Las Vegas Strip will go dark on the one-year anniversary of the mass shooting that left 58 dead at a country music festival. Here in Chicago, 2 men are dead, 3 others wounded following a shooting and crash near the South Loop. Chicago police tell us 5 men were traveling in a car late last night when gunfire erupted inside of that vehicle before it struck a pole and flipped over in the 500 block of South Michigan Avenue. Cubs and Brewers in a one-game playoff to determine seeding in the National League playoffs and the National League Central title comes your way at 12:05 today. The Dodgers and Rockies will play a similar game. And police are investigating a deadly shooting of a woman near Montrose Beach on Chicago's north side. Victim's body discovered yesterday in the 4700 block of North Lawrence and Wilson Drive. Chicago sports, Bears dominate the Buccaneers 48-10 at Soldier Field. White Sox wrap up the baseball season with a 5-4 road loss to the Twins. And the NBA preseason starts on the right foot for the Bulls with a win over New Orleans 128-116. The news is a service of Unbound.org. Right now, young people across the world face a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. 8:33 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager says the Kavanaugh accusers are on an obvious political setup.
That after 36 years, we learn about something that allegedly happened in high school just as he is about to be confirmed. And that is not obvious to everybody, whether you believe it or not. You don't see this as entirely politically inspired, then there's nothing to be said because it is so obvious.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's a fact. Workman's compensation is a mandated and burdensome expense for businesses. You've heard business owners on this station discuss the impact of workers' comp on their bottom line. This burden continues to grow every year. It's important that your company identify the risks you face and do everything possible to minimize your exposure and expense. For over 3 decades, Marty Spiegel and Miles Cahill, recent AM 560 Food for the Poor business benefactors, have effectively defended workers' comp cases on behalf of businesses and insurance companies in both Illinois and Indiana. All of the attorneys at Spiegel and Cahill understand and are sympathetic to the real burden your company faces. They excel at helping you identify and minimize your risks. The Spiegel Cahill team is committed to being responsive and managing all of your workers' comp costs. To learn more or request a no-obligation workman's comp consultation, call Spiegel and Cahill at 630-455-4070, 630-455-4070, or visit defendingbusinesses.com. That's defendingbusinesses.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I thought I had a sinus headache for a few days, but I had a massive brain aneurysm, hemorrhage of the brain, and a stroke, and I was on my deathbed. I was on a respirator in a coma for 35 days, and 3 months later, I came home in a wheelchair. I had double vision. I had to learn to walk again, to speak again. 1 and 1 is 2, write the alphabet. You know, if I went out and did a little something, I'd come home, I'd be in bed. Now, I'm up by like 5:30 in the morning, and I go to the gym. I do shopping. I cook. I have energy all day. I mean, I feel great. Overall, my whole outlook, just feeling, my mental aspect, everything is better.
For a limited time, use discount code CHICAGO to receive a 50% discount on your first preferred whole health system and have it shipped to you free. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Again, use discount code CHICAGO.
Check out the newest podcast from the Associated Press, Ground Game, hosted by AP's Megan Crane, a weekly conversation about top political issues ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Available on Apple Podcasts.
8:35. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. The latest with Jim Talamonte.
Inbound Kennedy traffic is jammed. Harlem to the Burn Circle. It is an hour and 15 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. 40 minutes from Montrose. 42 in the Express. Outbound 54 minutes to the airport. Eden's 20 minutes. Like Cook to the Junction. Outbound 35. Eisenhower. An hour 390 to downtown. 42 minutes from Mannheim. Outbound 47 minutes to 390. Stevenson, 58 minutes, 355 to the drive, outbound 40. Ryan, now 40 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Tri-State, bottled up, 21 to Bradley. And Oakton to Irving Park, northbound 95th to 31st, and from the Reagan to Lawrence. Reagan to Lays, 59 to 355, and York to Tri-State. Northbound Veterans Memorial, Mountain to St. Charles, and Army Trail to 290. Traffic, I'm Jim Talamonte. From the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Warmer day ahead. A sprinkle this morning and a little clouds and sun mixed this afternoon. High 74. 64 with clouds and maybe a shower overnight. Currently 58. Next news at 9 in Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella, Sunday mornings starting at 8.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I know everybody was riveted to their televisions on Thursday and Friday of last week for the Kavanaugh matter. But are you also here locally in Chicago? And this has national, international implications. It's an international story. Are you paying attention to the trial of former Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke and the killing of Laquan McDonald? It's moving towards conclusion with due speed. It may go to the jury as soon as this week.
Wow.
The defense putting on their case. You've had witnesses, expert witnesses the defense has put on that are rather interesting. For example, a pharmacology expert that per the autopsy discussed what something like 54 grams of PCP
right.
will do to you, what Laquan McDonald may have been feeling, how he may have been behaving.
Involuntary muscle spasm. I mean, if you've ever seen somebody drugged up or shot up on PCP, it's unbelievable. They think they're invincible. They're in a different stratosphere. They have no idea what is going on.
We didn't go to the same parties, but
because I was in Detroit and I was a police cadet and we did ride-alongs, and you'd see people on PCP and there's no reasoning with them whatsoever.
Right. There's also, again, this is the expert testimony, a feeling of invincibility.
Yeah. You can fly off bridges.
Don't feel pain. And so put that in the context of more expert testimony that suggests that
since 16 shots is a big deal here.
Oh, yeah, they wrote a rap song about it, 16 shots.
That McDonald may have taken 10 of those shots before he went down. And so in terms of reasonable doubt or providing some explanation of why Van Dyke kept shooting is because the threat that he felt wasn't stopped. He didn't see McDonald go down. Now they kept shooting, and I know in the video you see, you see bullets entering his body. That's what it appears to be. But again, you have to look at this in real time from the officer's perspective in terms of establishing reasonable doubt, reasonable fear for his safety. So there was a discussion that was sort of interesting. Get your take on it. That I was a part of over the weekend. If you ever watch Mike Flannery show on Fox Chicago, Flannery Fired Up tackles a number of topics. So me, our friend Maze Jackson, who does the morning show on WVON across the dial there, and then Eric Zorn from the Tribune. But anyway, so what's relevant is what me and Maze had to say, as you would expect. Maze suggesting that in the black community, with his audience, they didn't even call it the Van Dyke trial. They call it the Laquan McDonald trial because McDonald's on trial and he shouldn't be, is what he's implying.
But this is the story that we've seen time and time and time again. When in the black community someone is killed, murdered by the police, then the police officer is never on trial. It is always the black guy on trial. On the WVON morning show every day, we don't even call it the Jason Van Dyke trial anymore. We call it the Laquan McDonald trial because Laquan is being tried, not the person.
Well, except that Van Dyke is facing.
Seems like we're doing more talking about Laquan McDonald and all of the things. Laquan's dead, and we're still talking about he can't even defend himself. Really, as always, what we see is the victim becoming blamed again in this case.
312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, Turnkey.pro text line. From what you've watched or read of the Van Dyke trial, do you think that's what's happening? The victim, meaning Laquan McDonald, is being blamed here rather than the officer, former officer Van Dyke, being tried here?
Well, when you're a defense attorney, you have to prove that the victim is to blame. He brought this upon himself. He brought this upon himself when he slashed the police officer's tire. He brought this upon himself when he smashed the windshield with the knife, and that he was approaching that group of officers, and he had a knife out, and they thought they were in fear for their safety. So Jason Van Dyke fired shots into him.
Here's my take on it. I'd like to cede my time to me from the Flannery show and responding to Maze.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things here. Not only is Jason Van Dyke on trial, the Chicago Police Department's on trial. That's number one. Number two, when you have a officer-involved shooting and it involves somebody who was committing criminal activity, he was committing crimes, then that's relevant for his defense to a premeditated murder charge. I mean, I'm sorry, Laquan McDonald is part of the story, and so his conduct that night, his state of mind that night, his physical activity that night is relevant, just as is the judgment of Jason Van Dyke.
What is the penalty for being, even if he was high, what is the penalty? Should the penalty be death?
No, I didn't say anything of the sort. That's demagoguery. I didn't say anything of the sort. I said what Laquan McDonald did that night is relevant. That's all.
Is it relevant? Or I don't know how you assess what Jason Van Dyke did if you don't assess what Laquan McDonald was doing.
Right. It's part of the story. It's everything.
And then immediately Maze, who, I'm friends with Maze and I like him, but immediately goes to should it have been a capital crime? Should he have been gunned down in the streets? No, I'm sorry that happened. I'm not suggesting that that slashing tires or breaking windshields should have it results in the death penalty. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that has to be looked at in the context of here as you assess Van Dyke's mental state and you reach some kind of conclusion based on the legal standard of reasonable doubt. I'm just trying to kind of put myself in the mind of the jury, but you're not allowed to do that. It has to be this kind of black and white binary. I don't see it that way.
They also asked him to drop his weapon, and he didn't do that. But that seems to get lost. And everyone's, pushing of their facts only.
So Maze and I had this exchange about the fact that McDonald was high on PCP.
the pharmacology expert testifying about
56 nanograms of PCP, likely taken that day, said the pharmacologist.
Right, and so...
And you don't feel pain, you have feelings of omnipotence, feelings of euphoria.
This goes to the point, and what Jason Van Dyke might have seen, might have thought, because this is so much about 16 shots, not just the first shot, but 16 shots. That's what makes it egregious. That's what makes it premeditated, according to the Cook County State's Attorney. But if, according to expert testimony, if he was still standing after at least 10 of those shots was fired, then the fact that he was high on drugs is relevant. The fact that he wasn't going down could explain why Jason Van Dyke kept shooting. And it wasn't about trying to murder anybody. It was trying to quell what he saw as a threat. And then it's for the jury to decide if he had a reasonable fear of that threat.
Did we see the same tape? Did we see the guy on the ground with the bullets? He was on the ground. Bullets were going into his body as he was dying. The body's jumping. We're seeing smoke.
I'm telling you what expert testimony provided in the trial. If you want to discount that, that's fine. But it's relevant for the jury to hear. It's relevant as a matter of fact for the jury to consider.
So here's
that's
the key.
all.
And that's where we got to whether or not to convict, playing jury on the outside. So we had that back and forth. Should Van Dyke be convicted? First-degree murder, lesser included charge.
I've been surprised there have been conservative callers into your show, at least one, who has called for the conviction of Van Dyke for first-degree murder, even though he's generally supportive of police.
Well, I see it. Well, sure, but conservatives aren't supportive of police who break the law. It's about the law. It's
You
not
see
about the
reasonable
police,
doubt,
and it's about law enforcement.
Would you convict Van Dyke?
I can't say. I really can't say on that. I think it's a difficult case to make out for premeditated murder. I think it's almost impossible. But for a lesser
the wrong charge.
For a lesser included charge, I can see that, and it wouldn't bother me if the jury made that decision based on the totality of the evidence.
In our community, we believe that he was intentionally overcharged. We believe that Anita Alvarez charged him with first-degree murder so that he could, so just like you saw in the last case, they would not be able to convict him on that charge. I'm going to tell you, as a black man in America, watching that and listening to all the testimony, I believe that the white jurors will find reasonable doubt.
So everything through the racial prism with Mays. With respect to the argument he makes about Anita Alvarez intentionally overcharging Van Dyke for the purposes of providing some pathway for acquittal or a hung jury, well, that's easily remedied. Ms. Fox is the state's attorney now. She could reduce the charges, or she could withdraw the premeditated murder charge if she wanted to. She's an African American. So I don't think that's a particularly compelling argument that Mays makes. And frankly, the whole everything through the racial prism thing is a bit tiresome for me. Take your calls. Spence in Mokina, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Gentlemen, ladies, how you doing? Hey, just a really scary thing. There seems this narrative that the left is pushing, and I'm not saying liberals, but the leftists are pushing, and the Democrat leftists of you're guilty until proven innocent. That's a scary thing for everybody. People need to keep their head awake and look around and stop this race. This is really race baiting by the other side. This guy is a cop who's put in a position. I did almost 20 years in the Army. And when you're in a situation like that, you got to make a split-second decision. And if you're a cop and you have a family and you want to go home, you're out doing a job, and this guy's high on PCP. I've seen guys in Iraq who are high on hashish and drugs and all kinds of stuff. These guys take rounds and rounds and rounds and do not go down. And these guys make split-second decisions, and we empower these people with a certain amount of credibility as police officers, their background checks and the lives they live daily. And when these guys do these things, they're going to start being afraid to be cops, and then you're going to see some real crime rates go up. So I hope everybody's, keeping an open mindset about that, because this is a dangerous, slippery slope we're going down.
Thanks for the call, Spence. I mean, one thing on that, and I said this in the panel discussion too. Look, I have questions about Jason Van Dyke too, that don't redound to his benefit. I mean, the police that rolled up on the scene, he was the only one who opened fire. So the other officers made different judgment calls in similar circumstances. So that's a relevant consideration for the jury against Van Dyke as well. And just trying to ask questions, but you can't have an intelligent conversation. You can't have any conversation when it's just like all whites are this and all blacks are that. Right. And as much as I enjoy Mays, it's just we have to get out of that that dynamic. I mean, it's just a dead end. Nick on the Northwest Side.
Yeah, nice show, guys. There's rules of conduct that are for police that are different for a civilian. For example, if I'm walking down the street, just an average guy, I get knocked down by some mugger, I get beat up real bad, the guy steals my wallet, steals my cell phone, and he's run away, but I'm able to see him running away, and I'm legally carrying a gun. I shoot the gun at him and kill him or wound him badly. I could be charged with a crime, murder or attempted murder, whatever it is. A policeman has a opposite ability. If he suspects that somebody is a felon trying to escape from him, not necessarily attack them, that for sure, but even if he didn't attack them, he can start shooting at the guy. That's why we see the cops shooting at people who are running away from them, sometimes where it's not even clear that they have a gun or not. So the only thing you can do in a case like this is change the rules nationwide. If somebody's running away from the police, they got a gun, they got a knife, whatever, just let them keep running. Yeah, what else can you do? And then we'll see what happens when that person later on maybe hurts somebody else. Not necessarily a minute later, but maybe the next day. What do you think?
Thanks for the call, Nick. Appreciate it. Margot in Burr Ridge.
Yeah, as soon as I heard that Laquan McDonald had PCP in his system, I was reminded of a case in L.A. about 20 or 25 years ago where 4 cops were trying to subdue a very large man, black man, and he was high on PCP, and they ended up having to beat him, and it all got recorded on a phone or something. And so at first, that was the Rodney King case, and at first, the first trial, all the police officers were vindicated, because he'd been high on PCP, and they had tried to tase him, they tried everything, and they couldn't subdue him, 4 of them. And then the feds came in, and they decided because there was so much civil unrest after, the judgment, then they came in and they tried them on a hate crime or something, and they did convict them. But initially, because of the effects of the PCP, they were vindicated.
Thanks.
And so, Amy, you summed it up. The PCP is everything.
Thanks for the call, Margot. It's certainly part of it. Our friend Brian Warner, former CPD. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Morning, guys. The thing that I think Judge Gong did a wonderful job trying to keep the word victim out of the courtroom. And everybody's using the word victim when we're talking about Laquan. He's a fleeing felon who was burglarizing trucks, who pulled a knife on the gentleman who told him to stop breaking into the trucks, and continued lawful orders to drop his knife. He is not a victim in this case at all. So I think that's one thing we need to look at. Secondly, there's a point that I think people don't realize. It took almost, 2 years to release that tape, and then almost 2 years to charge Jason? The ranking officers on the scene that they evaluated the procedures that were used within the guidelines of the police department and the state statute and said Jason did nothing wrong. It wasn't until the politics came into it that he was charged.
Thanks.
Our mayor and our state's attorney at the time and all the aldermen who signed off on the $5 million allegedly without even seeing the tape to hush the family. If there's any upheaval in the city after this verdict is done, it's on their lap. Because this discussion there should have been a press conference. All these things should have been explained by the state's attorney and the police department. And if you want to go forward and we're going to reevaluate how we use deadly force and we're going to look at state statute, but at that time, he did nothing wrong. Had they done their due diligence and had that press conference, we wouldn't be sitting on pins and needles right now saying what's going to happen with this verdict.
All right, thanks for the call, Brian. Hey, there's another interesting thing, too, in terms of the defense. There's so-called lynch witnesses. This is based on a Supreme Court case where you do bring in prior bad acts of Laquan McDonald. So you had juvenile detention officers testify to Laquan McDonald being violent.
Right.
Now, I don't think it has any particular probative value, but it is legal under Illinois' rules of criminal evidence to present these witnesses, and the defense has, and it does tend to paint a picture of Laquan McDonald as not the kid you see in his graduation gown and cap,
from 8th grade,
but as somebody who had grown up to be, somewhat violent, and that's also going to inform the jury's decision, I suspect. Keith on the South Side.
Yeah, hi, Dan. Amy, it's a pleasure to talk to you guys. I listen to you often. And, Dan, I did get to see you with Mike Flannery and Maze Jackson. I think you guys did a really good job.
Thanks.
But you made a comment then during the show that you're making the same you're making now. What you're failing to mention is that Laquan McDonald was walking down the street. There were several officers already on site, and neither of them had drawn their weapon.
Right.
And the video shows specifically Van Dyke coming out of, it looked like the passenger side of the vehicle, and began firing. There was no assessment of the scene, no consideration for the officers who were already on the ground, and we didn't find out about the PCP until after the shooting.
Well, I know. I mean,
So,
Keith, actually.
Please allow me, Dan. Please allow me.
Well, I raised that exact issue, but okay, go ahead.
Actually, I don't.
Yeah, I did. I
we
just
didn't
raised it
find
again.
out about the PCP. Maybe I missed it.
No. I raised the issue of Van Dyke being the only officer on the scene who opened fire, and that's a consideration that cuts against Van Dyke's innocence in the case. I raised it on Flannery Show, and I raised it again here.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Okay, I missed it on Flannery Show. Okay,
Yes.
and I guess I must have missed it here. But yeah, I mean, there are already officers on the ground, and everyone corroborated Van Dyke's story that that Laquan was walking towards him. And the video shows as soon as his vehicle pulled up, Laquan turned and looked that way and started walking the other direction.
Yeah, I appreciate
The video shows that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for us to sit here, and look, I have mad respect for police officers. I train canines, and several officers are on our team. I have mad respect for them, but we can't keep attacking Laquan. Yeah, he's got a bad record. He's not a monster. He was a kid who needed help.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for the call, Keith. I mean, it's a fair perspective, and that's what I said. I mean, the fact, I've said this from the beginning, that Van Dyke opened fire when other officers at the scene did not, is a question that if I was a juror, I would want the defense to provide a pretty compelling answer to.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Famous Winston Churchill quotes, presented by Automated Systems.
In the words of the great Winston Churchill, if you're not a liberal at 20, you have no heart. If you're not a conservative at 40, you have no brain.
I know you support companies that share your conservative values. For FDA-regulated staffing needs, Automated Systems provides top talent, from experienced quality control and quality assurance engineers to top validation and compliance experts. Depend on Automated Systems. Hiring the best is critical to success. ASI Resources are all degreed professionals with decades of experience in manufacturing, automation, and FDA compliance. That's why ASI is retained by all of Chicagoland's Fortune 500 life science companies to successful startups. For a staffing evaluation, call Laz at Automated Systems, toll-free 844-HIRE-ASI, or visit automatedsys.com.
Pain drugs are addictive and have side effects. Get off the drugs, get rid of the pain. You don't need to live with chronic pain. Let's repeat, you do not have to live in pain. Chronic pain is the worst, from an accident or pain that just develops. Dr. Ken Candido is one of the most respected and successful pain doctors in the world. Dr. Candido will work to find the source of your chronic pain and fix it. He teaches pain management around the world and has been voted one of Chicago's best pain doctors several times. Okay, you get it. He's the pain doctor you need. Dr. Candido, Chicago anesthesia and pain specialist, will help you get off the pain medication and all of its side effects. You can get your life back. Drugs mask the pain, find the source, and fix it. Call Dr. Ken Candido and make an appointment with a cutting-edge, respected, and successful pain physician. Go to mypainchicago.com. That's mypainchicago.com. Thousands have been helped with their chronic pain. You be the next one. Get the phone number and all the info at mypainchicago.com. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of You Store It, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank